Do the trashy pulp novels of the world have anything to offer? Are bestsellers all they're cracked up to be? Here at Terrible Book Club, we explore whether you really can judge a book by its cover, or its ridiculous synopsis. You ever passed a book and thought, ugh, who's reading this? We probably are.
Hello. We're streaming. Or we should be streaming.
Us. Theoretically, we should be live.
Yeah,
on
you
the
know,
internet.
we don't do this that often, so tech is squarely here, but I think I set up something nice for everyone here.
It does say we're streaming Elden Ring, which we're not, which might confuse people.
I thought I'd change.
Hold on probably a second. Change that.
It says stream info updated successfully on my OBS over here, so hopefully okay, well, you know, we're not streaming Elden Ring. Hello and welcome to episode 200 of the Terrible Book Club. I'm Chris, and this is Paris.
Hello.
This time we're testing out something of a different format in preparation for season 10. And the main difference of the format here is that this time I read Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Paris did not read Fourth Wing.
Chris, I have two things to say. One, thank you for relieving me of having to do that. Two, why? Why did you do this to yourself? That's so many pages that you didn't have to read. We were done for the year. We were done.
It was 650 pages long. So I was introduced to Fourth Wing because it was my partner Rebecca's sleepy bedtime story thing. She likes to have an audiobook on.
Which is hilarious to me, first of all. Like, how is that the thing you fall asleep?
She likes to have an audiobook on when she goes to sleep, and it has to hit a very specific medium in which it is not so interesting that she actually wants to be hearing everything about what's going on, but not so boring that like it does not. There's like a midpoint of brain activity that must be hit, and Fourth Wing was doing it for her.
I would just so much rather listen to, you know, boring books for bedtime or anything that doesn't have what I assume Fourth Wing has for content, but I guess I don't know, and I'm about to find out in the worst way possible.
You're going to find out.
Second only to reading it yourself, I'm finding out in the second worst way possible.
Indeed. So anyway, it was a bedtime story for my partner, and I just kept hearing the dumbest things over, like when I was,
just wait, was she listening to it out loud? Or could you hear this through headphones? How is this?
No. The phone is on. It turns off after like a 10 or 15 minute timer. So it's like a 10 or 15. She puts on a 10 or 15 minute timer. And then after 10 or 15 minutes, it'll just cut off like mid sentence. And she's hopefully asleep by then. If not, it's restarted to help her go to sleep. I'm always up reading anyway. Like it's not like it's keeping me up because I'm always reading usually a terrible book on my phone during the whole time that is happening.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Anyway.
So, the format here is going to be a little different in that I am basically going to be recounting the book to you, Paris, in a longer form summary than we might normally do up at the top of the episode. And it is essentially your job to interrupt me periodically and react to whatever you are hearing. Don't feel as if you must remain quiet. Please speak up and just have whatever is coming up to your brain, say it out loud. You know, don't hold it in.
Sure.
Periodically, I may stop.
I'm going to hope that this espresso keeps me sane.
Okay. Periodically, I may stop to ask you what you think might happen next or what you might do in a certain situation that appears in the book. Okay. I feel like I should give some content.
Am I choosing my own winged adventure? Am I choosing my own four wings today?
Possibly. You know, I just, you know, imagine yourself in the book's scenario or story, or imagine what the author might do in that scenario, right? So, like, just try to predict or perhaps just put yourself in the protagonist's shoes. Just whatever seems fun, you know? Okay, I do want to get content warnings out of the way here. It's a horny book. We will be talking about sex. It's also a violent book where dragons burn people alive and people are stabbed and all that fun stuff like that. So there's violence happening here. There's also maybe some like light mind control stuff. Not really mind control, but like people being in people's minds. I don't know if that's worth a content warning kind of a thing, but it might be worth putting up here. Okay, sorry. I am trying to find the Amazon page so I can read from the back of the book summary, but it's not loading up correctly for me because my internet's being real funky right now. So Paris, how about you do us a favor?
Might be time to get off that Wi-Fi.
Yeah, can you find the Amazon summary or the back of the book summary for Fourth Wing? You know what? That's the way that you're going to get put into it a little bit. So you got the idea before I start giving you the summary overall.
All right, let me see if I can't rustle up a little Fourth Wing summary.
Yes, please do.
I didn't realize it had a series title. The Empyrean, Book 1. It's not nearly, I'm going to guess it's not nearly as fucking cool as, should I swear on this? I forget how this works.
Twitch is fine.
Sure.
You can
anyway,
curse on it. We're not monetizing this.
Not as cool as, not as cool as the Elden Ring Empyreans was all I was going to say. Alrighty. Let's see. Oh, man. Now I'm imagining, like, Elden Wing. Oh, God. May that never come to pass. Alrighty. Here we are. Do you want me to read all of the... yeah, fuck it. I will.
Go for it.
A #1 New York Times bestseller TV series in development at MGM Amazon Studios with Michael B. Jordan's Outlier Society. Okay. Amazon Best Books of the Year, #4. Apple Best Books of the Year 2023. Barnes & Noble Best Fantasy Book of 2023. NPR Books We Love 2023. Audible Best Books of 2023. Hudson Book of the Year. Ooh, even the airport store.
I'm ashamed of all of you. I'm ashamed of all of these people and organizations.
Oh, this is... I'm not even done. The list of shame continues.
Keep going.
Google
keep
Play
going.
Best Books of 2023. Indigo Best Books of 2023. Waterstones Book of the Year finalist. You know that bookstore we all thought didn't exist anymore? Still kicking. Still giving awards. Goodreads Choice Award winner. Newsweek staffers favorite books of 2023. Why do I give a shit what Newsweek has to say? Doesn't Newsweek just repost news articles from other publications? Anyway, Paste Magazine's Best Books of 2023. Okay, all right. We've got 2 quotes, and then we finally get to the little section. All right. This is a starred review from Booklist. Suspenseful, sexy, and with incredibly entertaining storytelling. The first in Yaros' Empyrean series will delight fans of romantic, adventure-filled fantasy. All right. Next, we have from the #1 New York Times bestselling author Jennifer L. Armentrout. Fourth Wing will have your heart pounding from beginning to end. A fantasy like you've never read before. Why were those the 2 quotes? Those 2 quotes are so... They don't tell you anything. They're so bland. Like, why are those the ones they chose? All right.
Hey, it's just like, book good. You should try it. All right. Why don't you hit us with the pull-in summary?
I just saw a word that's already made me sad. Okay. Enter the brutal and elite world of a war college for dragon riders. from #1 New York Times best-selling author, Rebecca Yarros. 20-year-old Violet Sorrengal. Gale. I actually can't see if that's an I or an L. I'm having crisp problems right now.
It's an I. It's a Gale. Sorrengal.
Okay. 20-year-old Violet Sorrengal was supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, living a quiet life among books and history. Now, the commanding general, also known as her tough-as-Talon's mother, has ordered Violet to join the hundreds of candidates striving to become the elite of Navarre. Dragon. But when you're smaller than everyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away. Because dragons don't bond to fragile humans. They incinerate them. With fewer dragons willing to bond than cadets, most would kill Violet to better their own chances of success. The rest would kill her just for being her mother's daughter. Like Zayden Yorson, the most powerful and ruthless ringleader in the... Oh, excuse me. Like, is Zayden fine? Am I pronouncing the X like a Z?
Yes, that's correct.
Zayden?
You got
Okay.
that one. Somehow
Like
you got
Zayden
the fantasy name right
Ryerson.
and not the normal office worker name correct.
Oh, that tracks. I'm going to say it for a fourth time. Like Zayden Ryerson, the most powerful and ruthless wing leader in the Riders Quadrant. She'll need every edge her wits can give her just to see the next sunrise. Yet, with every day that passes, the war outside grows more deadly, the kingdom's protective wards are failing, and the death toll continues to rise. Even worse, Violet begins to suspect leadership is hiding a terrible secret. Friends, enemies, lovers, everyone at Basklath War College has an agenda, because once you enter, there are only two ways out. Graduate or die.
I think that's
I had
an
to bring
I.
in my
though. I
little
think it's
Seagal
Basquiat.
voice.
Basquiat.
But oh, sorry, this is my vision again, even with my glasses. Sorry.
Understandable. I'm right there with you. It's Basquiat.
Everyone at
or
Basquiat War
Basquiat.
College has an agenda, because once you enter, there are only two ways out. Graduate or die. Okay, there
Or
get a
delay.
little more
Perhaps
head
there's
bobbing
another
from
way to read that.
or delay. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
So,
boy. All right.
Are you pulled in, Paris?
650
Are you
pages
excited?
of that.
Are you excited to hear about Fourth
No.
Wing?
Greg said it sounds like his high school. Damn, Greg, where'd you go to school?
Shit. I don't think this is going to sound like your high school, man. Unless you're like,
Wow,
was
Greg
your high
has
school
a interesting
divided
past,
into-
dark, interesting past we don't know about.
So yeah, I had to study to not be fried alive by a
Who
dragon.
knows?
I wanted to be in the scribe quadrant. Okay,
Oh yeah.
Paris.
All right.
I'm not giving you like characters or setting here. We're basically going to get it
Totally
through
fine.
the pathway of this long form summary I'm giving to you here. Again, feel free to just interrupt freely as I am recounting this to you. I will periodically stop. I might read a passage or two. I've selected two passages that I thought were worth reading.
Oh,
just to
only
give you the general
two?
flavor.
Can we have a third as a treat later?
Maybe if you want me to find a specific section as I'm summarizing it, I think the summary is long enough. I'm going to try to present it to you as, a nice long form story, as if we're recounting a tale amongst friends here. So we're going to begin here. So
Okay.
Violet Sorrengal is our protagonist. She has just been conscripted into the Riders Quadrant at Basquiat War College. It's a college for war where we do some warring.
Yep.
Now, she didn't want to be a dragon rider originally. She wanted to be a scribe because her father, unnamed father, we never know dad's name, he was also a scribe, and she, took after her father quite a bit because, well, she just likes scribing. She likes reading books, learning about history,
yeah.
doing all fun stuff
Love
like
books and
that.
history.
But
Give it to
dad's dead. So, I mean,
Oh, too
it's
bad.
not going
Dad.
to happen
R.I.P.
because her mom, who is a general in the army that of the nation that we are in. This is set in the nation of Navarre, Navarre. And Navarre is basically constantly at war with other nations outside of its borders. It has a bunch of magical wards around all its borders, and it's always fighting off people of other nations, especially in particular other nations that have griffin riders instead of dragon riders. So like there's always border skirmishes happening and things like that.
I have a question.
Yes.
does each nation have its own thing, like a griffin or a dragon? Is it like griffin, dragon, Pegasus, like the war of all the flying fantasy creatures? That would have been cooler.
We
or
really
worse.
just get, we really just get dragons and griffins here. Wyverns do pop up later. We'll get to the wyverns and what their deal is. But it's mostly just Navarre has dragons, and we have dragon riders that are trained at Basquiat War College in one of the 4 quadrants. So, Paris, you've heard of 2 of the quadrants. We've heard of the scribe quadrant, and we've heard of the rider quadrant. What do you think are the 2 other quadrants at Basquiat War College? And which one would you like to attend once we figure out what those 4 are?
Well, I would already like to double major in both dragon riding and books and history, because those 2 things
you can't do that. You can't. It's not allowed. There's no double majoring happening here. You're either a rider or a scribe or one of the other 2 quadrants.
Well, I'm going to be the first war mage at this college. Okay.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, you'll be happy to know that you gain magic through dragons. Like you channel magic through the dragon that you are bonded to. We'll get to the whole bonding thing later. It's a romance book. I'm sure you know where the fuck this is going pretty shortly.
Oh, the worst thing ever. Yeah.
Okay, anyway, we're still at the beginning here. Violet was forcibly conscripted by writ of her mom, General Sorengale, who
I
is
didn't
like
guess
really...
the houses, though. I meant
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Please guess the other 2 quadrants before we move on.
I feel pretty confident that one of them has to be agricultural, farming, hunting in nature, because how are you going to feed those dragons? Those dragons need a lot of food.
That's absolutely not a part.
What is
it's
the
War
structure
College,
here?
Paris. It's War College, okay? So
yeah, but
think a little
the dragons. How are they feeding them?
The dragons feed themselves. Dragons take care of themselves.
That doesn't make it. All right. What are the other 2? I mean, one of the other ones must be just regular martial arts, right? Like sword fighting, building trebuchets, that kind of like...
You know what? Yeah, spot on with that. That's the infantry quadrant that you are talking about.
All right.
Yes.
Oh, and the last must be naval, right? Because by, air, land, sea, book. By air, land, sea, and book.
By book, yes. That's, the 4 quadrants of war.
Yes.
Unfortunately, no. The 4th quadrant is the healer quadrant.
Oh, okay.
So you're either a healer, an infantry person, a dragon rider, or a scribe. Those are your 4 majors available to you at Basquiat War College.
Do the dragons also cover the naval battle purposes? Like, do they not have large sea masses in this ocean?
The sea is never talked about in this book, generally.
All right.
So there's really, we're not concerning ourselves with naval warfare in any fashion whatsoever here. It's all aerial combat or on land combat. Okay.
Right.
So, again, setting the scene here, Violet Sorengale has been forcibly conscripted by her mom, General Sorengale. Despite her sister, Violet's sister Mira, who is already a dragon rider, she went through Basquiat War College and graduated and is like part of the war effort now. She's like, no, you can't. Mom, what are you doing? You can't let Violet be a rider. She has a joint and bone disease. She is extremely frail. Her bones and her ligaments will break and tear more easily than anything else. And the whole rider's quadrant is like murderous as fuck, where like you can die easily. There's many ways to die in the rider's quadrant at the War College here, which to me seems like a bad way to gain more dragon riders if like death is around the corner at all times at the War College here. So yeah.
Wait, hang on.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going to pause you there for a sec.
Yep.
If you're always at war, why would you so wantonly lose people who are willing combatants? Why would you just let them all be murdered constantly? Why wouldn't you just demote them to infantry or to one of the other quadrants? This is a terrible system.
That's what I thought, but apparently it's like, only the strong survive kind of a thing, but we'll get into all the sort of cartoony ways that people can die regardless of whether they're strong or not. Okay. Mira, Violet's sister, is all upset that Mom Sorengale has forcibly conscripted Violet into the Riders Quadrant, even though Violet's been studying her whole life to be a scribe, to be more like her dad, who is dead, by the way. Also dead is Mira and Violet's brother, Brennan, who was also a rider of dragons. And there was an attack along the border in Navarre, and he did some heroic maneuver, and he died. Somehow it's alluded to that this is also their dad's fault in some way. I'm not sure how the scribe accidentally helped murder or like get his son killed or something like that. But
gave
that was,
him
like,
a bad map. It was a bad map, Chris.
Could be something like that. Could be
gave him
something
the wrong
like that.
year's almanac, and he fucking died. I don't know.
Anyway, Mom Sorengale is like, I don't give a shit. Violet's gonna have to prove herself as a rider. This whole family is riders except your dad. I liked him, but he's dead now. So you're everyone's a rider in this family, even me, the general. Okay. So Mira, who is very concerned about Violet's well-being in the Riders Quadrant, gifts her some dragon scale armor that can like be put under her clothing. It's from Mira's own dragon. She like harvested scales and she like made a fitted armor thing that Violet can wear to be protected, because if you get into the Riders Quadrant, we'll get into the fact that there's like a trial before you're even allowed to attend any classes. Like, you can basically be murdered by any other cadet, any other first year at the Riders Quadrant, unless you're sleeping. That's the rule. Is if you're sleeping, yes. Unless if you're asleep, you're not allowed to be attacked, and any cadet from other squads can attack you at any time and murder you with no consequence.
This is already so dumb. I just can't. I cannot.
Listen, only the strong survive here at the Riders Quadrant at Basquiat War College.
I guess so.
Okay, so
wait, what about if you have narcolepsy? Are you like exempt from being attacked because you could be asleep? You could fall asleep at any time.
Maybe that's the loophole or whatever. Is if you have narcolepsy, just like, you can't get me. I'm asleep. Okay.
That's it.
Mira also warns Violet that she has to avoid Xaden Ryerson specifically, because Xaden Ryerson is the son of Fen Ryerson, who led a rebellion against Navarre. He was sort of like a rebellion leader from a certain region in Navarre called like Tirandor or something like that. And all of the people that led this rebellion against Navarre were executed via dragon, either by Violet's mom or another high up general in Navarre's hierarchy or what have you. The children were spared.
Oh, wait. Sorry. I'll wait for this thought. After you finish this thought, can you pause? I have another question.
Okay. The children of the rebellious people were spared. They were marked or branded by General Melgren's dragon, General Melgren being like the highest up general there. They were given a specific brand on their bodies, like a tattoo, and they were forcibly all conscripted into the Riders Quadrant.
Okay.
And Xaden Ryerson is one of these forcibly conscripted people. He's a third year. There are 3 years, essentially, that you go through. First years are where Violet's going into. Second years are sort of middle tier, and third years are sort of like, about to officially graduate through the whole thing and become like official riders and things like that. Xaden Ryerson is a third year, and he is the son of Fen Ryerson, who was executed by Mom Sorengale. So obviously he has a bone to pick with Violet because she's the daughter of the person. Yes, exactly. She's the daughter of Mom and Gale, General Mom and Gale, and he's going to have, beef with her because Mom and Gale killed Xaden's dad because of the whole rebellion thing. Okay, what was your question?
Okay, now I have two questions. Okay, first question, more relevant to what you just said.
Yes.
Is the whole murder each other constantly thing valid even after you graduate from War College, or does that stop and you stop murdering each other all the time?
Well, once you graduate War College, you're like sent out to outposts in the front lines and things like that. So you're not like still at the War College or anything. Oh, you're saying like once you graduate and you're officially a rider, can all the riders like murder each other? As far as I can tell, no. As far as I can tell, no.
Okay.
It's just while you're at Dragon Rider School.
Okay. All right.
All right.
And what's my other question? Shoot, I had another question. What were you just talking about before you were getting into that whole
Zayden
family?
Ryerson being a marked child of the rebellion.
Shoot.
It'll come back. I can just keep summarizing. Maybe
I'm sorry.
We're only
remember.
about we're like 5% into the book here, Paris.
Oh,
So
all right. I'm gonna get a little comfier.
Mira also tells Violet, you have to seek out your childhood friend Dane Atos, who is a second year over at Ryder's Quadrant, and like Dane and Violet were buds like their entire lives. Maybe there's even a little bit of sexual tension between them a little bit because they've always been good opposite gender friends, and we can't do that unless there's a little bit of sexual tension.
Got to be a little horny all the time. Can't not be horny with opposite gender friends. Got to be a little bit of horns. A little bit of horns.
Yes. So, like Mira says, avoid Zayden. Go find Dane. He'll put you in his squad, and then he can protect you. Here's this dragon armor. By the way, you can't take any of your books with you because, like, I don't know, just don't take your books with you, including the, like, Book of Fables that Dad gave you. I'll keep it for now.
So when you're a dragon rider, you're not allowed to read or have books?
No, you can read, like, you know, they go through, like, battle briefs about, like, what's happening on the front lines and stuff like that. And there is some element of textbook in here, although, to be frank, we never see anyone really reading a textbook in this entire book here. But I forget exactly what the reasoning is. It's just like, hey, don't take the books with you for whatever reason. Also, it might be relevant to what has to happen to get into the college in the first place here. Okay, so avoid Zayden, find Dane, you'll be safe, do your best at the Riders Quadrant. Now, the first thing you must do before you even get into Basquiat War College is ascend up into like a tall parapet, and there is basically like no guardrails parapet that you must cross from like one tower to another. It's very windy, it's very uneven, it's very slippery.
What does this have to do with anything?
We will find out. It is somewhat plot. There's like a little twist at the end. It's like why the parapet does it. But anyway, if you are conscripted, you are supposed to walk across this extremely dangerous parapet to be even able to get into the War College in the first place.
Is it just to be like, are you aerodynamic enough to be on a dragon? This is the first step.
Actually, like, it's about balance. It's like purely about balance.
Oh, okay,
like,
yeah. All right.
And like a very thin, straight thing that's uneven. And also, at any point, anyone else can throw you the fuck off the parapet and murder you.
My God. Okay, of course they can.
So I would like to begin with my first selected reading from Fourth Wing. Which is when Violet is on the parapet and she must cross it. And Paris, if you're about to cross a very, very dangerous, thin stone walkway with no guardrails, how would you make sure that you made it across?
Lowering my center of gravity. So I would like crawl across if I could, because that's way more stable than standing upright.
Yeah, that's one way. Or you could just say lore and world building out loud so that you're less nervous. That seems like a better idea, right?
No,
because that's what Violet does.
I mean,
she just does exposition out loud. She does world building out loud.
That's
to calm
so weird.
Her nerves.
Yeah, I don't like
so
that.
So here we go with
whatever
Violet
keeps you calm,
crossing the parapet.
I guess, but that's a really silly way to just squeeze exposition in terms of the story.
Here we go. Are you ready, Paris?
Ready as I'm ever going to be, Chris.
I can't carry a tune or even decently hum, so singing for a distraction is out. But I am a scholar. There's nowhere as calming as the archives, so that's what I think of. Facts, logic, history. Your mind already knows the answer, so just calm down and let it remember. That's what Dad always told me. I need something to keep the logical side of my brain from turning around and walking straight back to the turret. The continent is home to 2 kingdoms, and we've been at war for 400 years, I recite, using the basic simple data that has been drilled into me for easy recall in preparation for the scribes test. Step after step, I make my way across the parapet. Navarre, my home, is the larger kingdom, with 6 unique provinces. Tirandor, our southernmost and largest province, shares its border with the province of Krovla within the Paramial kingdom. Each word calms my breathing and steadies my heart rate, lessening the dizziness. To our east lie the remaining 2 Paramial provinces of Breivik and Signussen, with the Espen Mountains providing a natural border. I pass the painted line that marks halfway. I'm over the highest point now, but I can't think about that. Don't look down. Beyond Krovla, beyond our enemy, lie the distant barrens, a desert. Thunder cracks. The wind slams into me and I flail my arms. Shit! My body sways left with the gale, and I drop to the parapet, holding on the edges and crouching so I don't lose my footing, making myself as small as possible as the wind howls over and around me. Stomach churning, I feel my lungs threaten to hyperventilate as panic seizes me at knife point. Within Navarre, Tirandor was the last of the bordering provinces to join the alliance and swear fealty to King Reginald. I shout into the howling wind, forcing my mind to keep moving against the very real threat of paralyzing anxiety. It was also the only province to attempt secession 627 years later, which would have eventually left our kingdom defenseless had they been successful. Rhiannon is still ahead of me at what I think is the 3/4 point. Good. She deserves to make it. The kingdom of Paramiel mainly consists of arable plains and marshlands and is known for exceptional textiles, endless fields of grain, and unique crystalline gems that capable of amplifying minor magics. I spare only a quick glance at the dark clouds above me before inching forward, one foot carefully placed in front of the other. In contrast, Navarre's mountainous regions offers an abundance in ore, hardy timber from our eastern provinces, and limitless deer and elk. My next step knocks a couple of pieces of mortar loose, and I pause as my arms wobble until I regain my balance. I swallow and test my weight before moving forward again. The trade agreement of Raisin, signed more than 200 years ago, ensures the exchange of meat and lumber from Navarre for the cloth and agriculture within Paramiel 4 times a year at the Athabine outpost on the border of Krovla and Tirandor. I can see the rider's quadrant from here. The enormous stone footings of the citadel rise up on the mountain to the base of the structure, where I know this path ends if I can just get there. Scraping the rain from my face with the leather on my shoulder, I glance back to see where Jack is. He's stalled at just after the quarter mark, his stocky form standing still, like he's waiting for something. His hands are at his sides. The wind seems to have no effect on his balance. Lucky bastard. I swear he's grinning across the distance, but it could just be the rain in my eyes. I can't stay here. Living to see the sunrise means I have to keep moving. Fear can't rule my body. Squeezing the muscles of my legs together for balance, I slowly let go of the stone beneath me and stand. Arms out. Walk. Okay, so that is Violet just reciting lore. By the way, that's meaningless. It doesn't really matter that you have to know all that shit later. There were 2 names dropped there. Rhiannon is another conscripted cadet that she sort of met along the way. And she actually noticed, like, Rhiannon's boots weren't going to be good for gripping the parapet. So she gave Rhiannon one of her boots. So she's walking with 1 good boot and 1 bare foot, while Rhiannon also has, like, 1 good boot and a shitty boot to cross the thing. Jack, meanwhile, is a murderous psychopath behind her who, as soon as they met, Jack was like, I'm going to fucking kill you, dude. And so, like, as she's crossing the parapet, the rest of that scene is Jack being like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. And he even tosses a person that's behind him over the parapet just to be a murderous psychopath.
Okay.
By the way, I forgot to mention, before we even get onto the parapet, Zayden Ryerson was standing at the entrance to the parapet. For some reason, he was just there because they were like taking people's names before they went onto the parapet. There was like one scribe lady taking people's names down, and Zayden Ryerson also there just like observing people. Of course,
it's a bit of a quinky dink for me. I don't love
Violet
that.
doesn't notice this. Instead, she's just like, wow, that guy's real hot. Oh my God, wow, he's so hot. And
How
then
long has
the
it been
other scribe,
since they've seen each other?
They don't know each other. They've never met.
I'm sorry. Who did he know? He's the son of a guy that Mom and Gail killed, but they have never met. Oh, okay. I'm
Correct.
sorry. I thought they were like childhood friends, but I must be mixing that up with somebody else.
Her childhood friend is Dane Atos, who she is supposed to find once she gets across the parapet into the Rider's Quadrant.
All right.
Anyway, he was there at the entrance to this whole parapet thing, and oh my god, he's so hot. I can't believe how beautiful he is. And then someone's just like, "What are you doing over here, Zayden?" And she's like, "That's Zayden Ryerson. I'm supposed to avoid him, but he's so hot." And I can see Greg in the chat here saying, like, I keep thinking of Ned Ryerson from Groundhog Day. That is also who I kept thinking of during this whole time here. Anyway, so of course Violet's in trouble here because she already met Zayden Ryerson at the entrance of the parapet. And, oh my god, he's so beautiful, but I should avoid him.
That's not what I would be thinking about when I'm like just barely making it across this death-defying stunt. I would not be like, oh man, can't wait to fuck that dude over there. Like, why is that?
I mean, she's not there yet. She's just like, wow, he's beautiful, and like then has to like do this death-defying stunt here. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Violet makes it across the parapet because she was able to recite enough world-building lore that she was able to maintain her balance. At the end of it, Jack catches up to her and like tries to like kill her then and there, but she flips around and points a dagger at his balls. And she's like, I wouldn't go any further if I were you. And then Jack is like, oh, nerds, you got me. And especially because like, I think once you're across the parapet, you're not allowed to murder anymore up until like squad formations happen.
Dude, the weird, parameters on murder time in this
it's
just
really loose.
It's
really loose
stupid
around here, I gotta say. All right, she makes it across the parapet. She's officially into the Riders Quadrant, and she goes and finds Dane. And Dane is like, you can't be here. You're fragile with your bone and joint disease. You're supposed to be a scribe. I've found a way to sneak you back into the scribe quadrant. And Violet's like, no, my mom is literally like one of the highest up generals here. If she finds out that happened, she'll just put me back in the Riders Quadrant. Also, I want to prove myself anyway. So and she still is like, oh, I did want to be a scribe, but you know what? I'm here now. I might as well kind of deal with the hand that I've been dealt here. So she finds Dane, and Dane is like a squad leader, and he is able to like put her into his squad for like protective purposes. But Zayden Ryerson is a wing leader, you see. So there are sections, there are squads which are put into sections, and sections which are under wings. And there are 4 wings in the Riders Quadrant, and Zayden Ryerson is head of 4th wing.
There's the title.
And since he is
title
above authority to Dane, he can just say, Dane, your squad is in my wing now. Because obviously
God, I hate that every time you say Dane, I think of Lord Arthur Dane, the Sword of the Morning, and I just want this to be him to be the Sword of the Morning, but he's not. So I think I'm going to call him the Sword of the Mentos because this name
Dane Mentos, yes indeed, the fresh maker.
Sword of the Mentos, the fresh maker. Yes. He's going to be the fresh maker. Yes, that's it. That's his name. Fresh maker.
He is
all right,
kind of
fresh maker.
To be honest with you,
help me remember.
Dane's whole thing with Violet is that like she's kind of into him a little bit because like they've known each other for so long, and I don't know, she's just like he's a little cute too. And he always does this thing where he will...
because the law of opposite gender friends means you have to be a little horny for them at all times, no matter who they are.
Sure. True. And he always does this thing where he'll like kind of like cup Violet's chin and like push it up to like look at him, or like kind of like touch her face a little bit. Now, in fiction,
Chris, if you ever did that to me, you would find
you
yourself
would cut my fucking
smacked.
hands off. I know immediately you would cut my fucking hands off. I don't ever. I'm not going to touch your face. Don't worry.
I would no. I'm just saying. I would obviously. I'm this is hyperbole. I would not hurt you, but like it is a very strange thing for two people who are not romantically involved to be like touching and directing the other's face. It's very strange, I think.
Indeed. And he does it all the time. Like every conversation they have, he's like a little grabbing the chin or like stroking the face a little bit because he's caring, and there's a little tension between them. Maybe Violet finds this a little endearing, generally, is the vibe that you get, where she's kind of fine with it. And even sometimes she's like, I should probably kiss him by now. It's like we're in like a life or death situation. I could die tomorrow. So maybe I should do something about this for once and for all. Okay. At the same time, some dragons are about here.
Then get it, girl. Do it before you get fucking shish kebabbed and crisped.
Actually, it's funny that you bring that up because, like I said, there are dragons about here. And they
We're here for dragons.
will fucking crisp you if they detect any sort of like meekness. And indeed, even as some people cross into the riders quadrant, as soon as the dragons land, if some people are like scared and start to run, they get immediately roasted on the spot by the dragons because they're not having no scrubs out here in the riders quadrant. So dragons are just about here is the thing that you should understand. Anyway, classes and training have started at Basgiath War College, which basically amounts to hand-to-hand sparring with other members of the riders quadrant. And like battle brief, which is like updates on the war efforts and like what's going on beyond the wards or like at the edges of the wards and things like that. Rhiannon, who we met on the parapet before, has quickly become Violet's sort of buddy here at Basgiath. And she's a good fighter, but she's not a good book learning person. So they agree to sort of like trade fight teach for history and book teach kind of thing so that Rhiannon can pass those classes. That's about all the classes we hear about right now. At this point, Violet figures out that she's been given a journal, actually, of her brother's that Mira gave her shortly after she got here at Basgiath. Like, she showed up just briefly and was like, here's Brennan's journal. It'll help you sort of like make your way through the first year here. It helped me a lot when I was here. She figures out from this journal that she can basically predict who she's going to go up against in these like sparring matches. They're like official challenges that are posted. And she realizes that if she can figure out who she's going up against, she can use her scribe book learning knowledge to poison them a little bit before they fight each other so that she has an advantage over those people. She then starts to basically just scrape by and win some fights. Yeah, well,
that's fucked up.
It's either that or possibly die on the mat, because at one point, Jack, who we met before, the murderous psychopath, just snaps a dude's fucking neck during one of these sparring matches. So, like, you gotta be ready to die during these sparring matches here. And Violet doesn't want to die.
Right.
So she poisons people just a little bit. While Violet is out one night harvesting some bark for some poison that she's going to use on someone that she's going to face, she accidentally stumbles upon Xaden meeting with a group of other rebellion-marked cadets, especially the people that have just come here, like the first years that are fresh. She basically finds them all grouping together and being like, listen, we got to watch out for each other. These people don't like us here. We've got a target on our backs. We got to stick together here. Now, this is a very, very big no-no, because more than 3 people that are rebellion marked aren't supposed to get together. Specifically because General Melgren, the sort of the big general that oversees the army, he has every dragon rider, once they're bonded with a dragon, after a certain period of time, they manifest a signet ability, sort of like your mutant power, right? Like you just have a special magical ability that you get. General Melgren's ability is that he can see the outcome of any battle before it happens, unless more than 3 people with the rebellion mark are together. Don't ask me how that's supposed to work, because I don't know. I really don't know at all. She finds out about these little meetups, but it seems like they're just trying to protect each other. So she's like, I'm not going to say shit. They're clearly not, trying to start another rebellion here at Basgiath War College. So she waits for everyone to slip off, and then she starts trying to sneak away. But lo and behold, she is surrounded by shadow, because Xaden Ryerson's signet power is that he has the ability to control shadows and physically manifest them so that they can like grab shit or do whatever. And he knew she was there, so he is able to sort of like pin her down.
It seems really like out of nowhere.
Well, he knew she was there, and he's like pins her down with the shadow, and he's like, are you gonna fucking tell anyone? And she's like, no, I'm not. It seems like you guys are just trying to like protect each other. That's not anything to report, because she knows if she reports that, they'll probably all be killed immediately. And she's like, that's not fair. So she decides that I'm not gonna report you guys. And because of that, Xaden's like, I suppose I owe you one. And then they part. Okay. cadets are at the same time training for the Gauntlet, which is basically like this giant, deadly Wipeout or American Ninja style obstacle course where you're supposed to like ascend all this crazy shit. There's like rotating logs and things like moving around so that, you know, and there's not like a pool of water at the bottom to catch you or anything. Like if you fuck up during training, you can fall to your death, which indeed does happen to one of the other cadets in the same squad that Violet is part of. She just straight up falls to her death. Now, Violet, being weak of joint and bone, of course, this is like a horrible prospect for her, but she manages to sort of like train herself and like use some unorthodox methods. So at the point where they're like supposed to do like the final gauntlet run to prove that they can do this, she like uses like some daggers that she has to like, you know, cling to walls and like some of the structures of the gauntlet in an unorthodox way to like ascend to the top. The whole point of the gauntlet is it's supposed to like test your ability to mount a dragon.
What does she do?
It's really not that important. She just like sticks a dagger in the wall to use as like a thing to like get up a little bit easier. And there's some like ropes that are tying elements of the gauntlet together that you're not necessarily supposed to use to climb, but she does. And there's no rules that say you can't do that outright. So that's technically a loophole in the whole gauntlet thing, which pisses off the leader of Third Wing, whose name is Amber Mavis, and Amber is all like, you can't do that. That's not part of the rules. But Violet's like, it doesn't say that in the rule book. So she basically is able to pass through this gauntlet thing, despite Amber being like, no, you can't do that. Anyway, like I was about to say, the gauntlet is supposed to test your ability to like mount a dragon because you're supposed to like climb up their leg to like get up on their back. So, like, that's what's supposed to be a simulation of that. And dragons generally aren't helpful with, like, letting you mount them, even if they're bonded to you. But Violet's able to get through this and, you know, with a loophole. She's a big loophole girl over here. Okay. Next up is Presentation Day, in which basically new first-year cadets are... Yeah, exactly. But you're show and telled in front of a bunch of dragons, like a couple hundred dragons maybe, because every year there's a fresh crop of dragons looking to be bound to a rider. And so they want to like check out who the new crop of cadets are and see if they're also still being meek or anything like that. So once again, you're basically you walk down this long like stone bridge with a bunch of dragons roosting on either side. And if they just kind of don't like your vibe, they will also murder you there in some fashion.
Oh, hang on. But like, what if one dragon loves your vibe? What if some dragons love your vibe and other dragons don't? Then what about the dragons who liked you and wanted to bond with you? What the fuck?
Hey man, I don't know. I hope like you're not deemed shitty by one of these 100 dragons. It's also like told to the cadets like, don't group up, because if you're grouped up, maybe one of you in the group is destined for dragon death, and they don't care if the rest of you aren't destined for dragon death. They'll just roast all of you right then and there.
Okay, all right, but what are some of the things that set the dragons off? What do they not like? Like, what are some qualities that they sense that make them hate people and want to just barbecue them?
Being a scaredy cat, meekness, sort of like that sort of thing.
Okay, so just
good
being
posture, I suppose. Like if you're slouching a little bit, it's fucking over, man. Like don't you dare. I hope you've been practicing.
You know, strong core. Upright, shoulders back.
Exactly. You got to be upright, shoulders back. Don't show anything like that. So a couple of other people in Violet's squad are roasted or like clawed to death, but she remains separate, and her and Rhiannon and all her friends are able to make it through Presentation Day. And this is where we kind of learn like all the different types of dragons out there. And they're basically separated by two categories: their color and their tail. So you can have like red dragons or orange dragons or black dragons or anything like that.
Well, are there any colors that don't exist, or are they all there?
I mean, it seems like your classic dragon colors are there. There's one golden one that's special that stands out. because there's
metallic.
no other golden dragons about. And there's also something else special about that dragon because, like I said, the second category we can put dragons into is their tail style. So we have like dagger tail and club tail and morning star tail and things like
that's
that.
A little, like, look, I love me a morning star, but it's a little bit of a mouthful. Star tail, a morning tail, morning star tail is a little too much.
The golden dragon is also special because it's a feather tail, and we've never seen a feather tail out here on presentation day. They're considered weak dragons because they got feather tails instead of, I guess, bow staff tail.
Fuck you! Feathers are great. Get out of here with this.
So, Paris, I ask you, firstly, what is your method to not get roasted alive on presentation day, and what kind of dragon would you like?
What's my method to not get roasted alive? Well, one, don't follow the rules. Don't clump up with anyone. Start my day with some strength training and meditation, so I'm like strong and grounded, so that I don't have any like weakness in me, and the dragons can sense like, I don't know, my muscles breaking down and rebuilding again. They're like, yeah, that one's strong. Like, and I just walk through like this the whole time, just Gaston my way across.
Just look at the bicep the whole time. Like, look, see, the gains are sweet right now. Like, you've eaten a lot of protein, like extra, you've dehydrated yourself a lot. So like the abs are really showing that kind of thing.
Exactly.
And what kind of dragon do you want? Now, remember, you have color and like style of tail. What are you looking for?
We all know I want the Morningstar tail because, again, like one of my faves. Love me a spiked ball on a stick, or just a spiked ball on a chain. A flail is great. Basically, what a flail tail. God, it is a flail tail. How did the author miss that? Because a tail is fluid. It's not a stick. It's God damn it.
It's right there.
What color do I want?
Okay, so what color?
I mean, if I would either want like, is there silver? Is silver an option?
We don't see a silver one in the book, but I mean, I don't see why not. The golden one is the special one, though. So I don't know if you.
Yeah, I mean,
wait a second. Why not have a silver flail tail?
Wait a second. What's that? But I don't want to have to like take it to the dragon car wash so much. Like, I don't want all the soot from all the murder, the blood, like showing up.
It's like the whole extra layer of maintenance that you got to do.
Silver too feels a little iffy, so maybe I'd go for like, I love teal, so anything that's sort of blue green. Okay. So like a teal dragon, that'd be cool.
Teal flail tail is what Paris wants. Yep. Okay, noted.
Teal flail.
Okay. So Violet and Rhiannon make it through presentation day, and pretty much immediately after that is the threshing. And the threshing is when this is like the official bonding ceremony. You're basically thrown out into like a wooded area, and all the dragons are flitting about, and they are deciding who they are going to bond with forevermore, or at least up until the human rider dies.
Jesus, perhaps. And then what's after this? The mortar and pestiling? Like, how many fucking grinding, punishing?
Don't worry. This is like months into being a first year, by the way. So this is like 6 or 8 months in. Like, time has passed by now. So at the threshing, Violet is sent out on her own. Now, it's supposed to just be first years. Second and third years are about, but they're not allowed to interfere. So I don't even know like really why they're hanging out. They're just kind of like about to like see what's going on. Now, during the threshing, all of the dragons that were there at presentation day are flitting about looking for who they want to bond. And once again, they will still murder you if they don't like you. Maybe you passed through all the other times, but something about threshing day, they're just like, I don't know, you smell today, so fuck you.
This feels like needless steps. Like the author was just like, how do I pad this shit out for hundreds of pages? Yes.
I mean, basically, yes.
I know.
Anyway, during the threshing, Violet comes upon Jack, if you remember, murderous psychopath Jack. He's got two buddies with him, Tynan and Oren, and they're all like, we're going to find that golden feather tail and we're going to kill it because it's a weak link in the dragons and we have to prove ourselves.
Why would they want to kill That's a ridiculous
Because the
plan.
feather tail is weak and we can't have any of these beta dragons out here. Alpha dragons only. No feather tails allowed. No cuck dragons allowed in here or whatever. So they're all out to find the golden dragon and murder it, essentially, because it's a weak link. Like they, and Jack's been trying to murder Violet this whole time as well. So
Right.
Anyway, so they are about to corner the golden dragon, but Violet like steps in front and is like about to confront them 3-1 here. And she manages to like sort of like stab Tynan a little bit. But she's clearly outnumbered, and so is this golden feathertail dragon, which like doesn't seem to be able to defend itself that well either.
Okay.
But Xaden Ryerson shows up as well. Now remember, he's not allowed to interfere at all, but this is where we meet Xaden's dragon Scale, spelled Sgaeyl. So pronounce that however you want. I said Scale.
I'm sorry.
The whole time.
One more time. S.
Sgaeyl.
Scale.
Yes.
Scale.
So Xaden and Scale are sort of like, they're the bonded pair that's like sort of like observing this, but they can't actually do anything about it. They're just sort of like menacingly standing in the corner, and like Scales kind of spooks Jack and his bros a little bit to the point where they're like kind of off put, with just enough time for a giant black Morningstar tail dragon to come down and say, basically, Violet, I have chosen you to bond with. So like Violet is like hearing this dragon talk in her mind for the first time ever, and that's like the signal that you've been chosen to be bonded to.
Do they speak in like the common language, or do they speak in like Dragonese
complete English. There's not anything different. It's just like regular old English speaking dragons, and they have the same sorts of emotions and affects that humans might, essentially. Full sentient, full intelligence dragons here.
Okay.
And this big black Morningstar dragon comes down, and he's like, I am Tarnok von Blastova. Like, he's got a long name, but he's like, you can just call me Tarn. That's not the name, but his name is Tarn, Tairn, for the entire book, essentially. And he's like, I've chosen you, Violet, because you're a defender of the small and the meek here. And he
but they hate small and meek. Don't they hate small and meek?
But not if it's a dragon and you're protecting my nice dragon buddy here, my golden soft feather dragon buddy.
Okay.
For whatever reason, Tarn has decided this is the thing that he's like, okay, I'm bonding with you, Violet. And in doing so, he is allowed to roast Tynan alive, but Jack and Oren basically run away at that point. And now Violet has a dragon, Tarn, who is actually, of course, the largest and most powerful dragon about.
Yes.
So
of course.
He even like dips his like leg down a little bit so Violet can get up on him easier, which is sort of like not common dragon practice, which is why we had this whole gauntlet thing happening anyway.
Right.
But Tarn is like, whatever, I'll let you come up here. I know you're kind of weak and fragile. I've been observing you anyway. So Violet climbs up on him and just sort of sits on his back, and Tarn takes the fuck off.
Wait, there's no saddles? There's no, straps?
Nope.
What do they hold on to?
The fucking, spikes or whatever on the dragon's back, but guess what? Violet can't stay seated, so she slips off, the second Tarn makes, his first turn, but Tarn is able to come underneath her and catch her, essentially.
God, no! Let her die, please!
Well, so she watches other, newly bound riders also fall to their death off dragons who don't catch their riders. It's just Tarn who is like, I'll fly under you and catch you every time you fall off, essentially.
Every time?
So, yes.
Oh,
every single time, even though that's not common practice with any other dragon and any other ride.
Man, is she gonna fuck this dragon,
so Violet's
Chris?
already...
Is she gonna fuck this dragon?
I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so
does he cup her chin when he picks her up?
Yeah, with a claw. He actually does grab her in his claws also as a way to catch her instead of just having her fall on his back or whatever. Mm-hmm. So he's a very nice dragon, essentially, that is being helpful to the somewhat disabled Violet as she's learning to stay seated upon Tarn. So Violet and Tarn fly off, and then you're supposed to come back to the Rider's Quadrant and present yourself before ascribed to be like recorded as like, my name is
like
Violet,
dragon married or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
this is Taryn, my bonded dragon. But as Taryn and Violet come down and she's saying like, I bonded with Taryn here. Everyone's all impressed by that. Then she hears another voice in her head. It's the golden dragon who has also bonded with her. This, of course, is unheard of in Dragon Rider Bound. No one has ever bonded with two dragons before. So Violet has the biggest, scariest black dragon around. And also has the tiny, soft, golden feathertail dragon bound to her. The golden dragon's name is...
So when's the dragon cuck scene? Because it just sounds like the riding cuck scene is about to happen.
Well, let's get past this scene here for a second, Paris. Because, so the golden dragon's name is Andarnarum, which we shortened to Andarna.
Fucking names suck. These names suck.
Yeah, the names in this book actually.
Yes, I am the Silver Dragon Aluminium.
it's Andarna,
please.
Anyways, quick sidebar into this book. This book has some dumb names in it, like Zayden Ryerson and Dane Atos. But one of my favorite names in it is a cadet that appears like 3 times throughout the whole book. His name, or their name, I should say. I'm sorry, they're non-binary. Their name is Heaton. Heaton, and they have like undercuts shaved into the side of their head that are like it's got flames on them. So Heaton is like flame haircut person cadet happening over here. It was my favorite fucking name in the entire book. It was really fucking good.
So how do you write that with your little hands and not think, wow, this is incredibly stupid. I'm going to replace that later. No.
Hey, man. Hey, that's just the way it goes over here. So Violet is now bound to 2 dragons. The human leadership is all in an uproar about this to see if they'll allow it, but the dragons are just like, no, this is something for dragonkind to decide and dragon
all right.
decide.
This is very, the Targaryens are special because we have dragon blood, therefore we can marry whoever the fuck we want, including our brothers and sisters and moms and dads, and have 9,000 wives because we're dragon people and we're special and the same rules apply.
It doesn't quite get there because it's just like
she's married to Violet. 2 dragons. She's married to 2 dragons. It's already happening.
Sure, but it's not because like Violet has any special blood. It's just because Violet herself is special. That's it. End of story.
Which is worse, but I was just drawing a parallel there to, another popular
anyway, the dragons
dragon
fly off
thing.
to have like dragon meetup time where they discuss if they're cool with like a double
Wait, there's like a dragon bar? They're like, oh yeah, how many did you roast today? Oh yeah, I roasted like 300.
Yeah, exactly. It's more like Dragon Council has to be like put together, and that's like the Empyrean. That's what the Empyrean is like all the dragons getting together to like decide dragon rules or whatever.
Wait a second. So do the dragons have like a capital city? They got like jewelry, like what kind of? They seem very
unclear. But like the land of Navarre specifically is blessed by dragons and like bound to them because like they're the source of like the wards around them in a way. Also, the wards make it so that any other magic user that passes through the wards can't use their magic anymore once they're past. It's only like dragon magic that is used for like the signet powers and stuff like that. I have
a question though, like, so if the dragons are sentient, intelligent, powerful, magical, what do the humans do for them? Like, why even keep up this relationship? I don't understand what their like end of the bargain is. You know,
the
like, what do
riders are what like help like the wards be like placed upon because like the dragons. You channel your magic through the dragons, so like that's not available to the dragons themselves. They like have to use the humans as like a conduit, and then like the humans get these unique individual abilities which wouldn't manifest outside of the dragon themselves. So like they're part of this like war effort, and the dragons want to protect the land and like do their thing, and it's actually useful for the humans to have these special abilities and things like that.
No, I get why the dragon relationship is beneficial to people, but not to the dragons. Because
the riders also have the magic abilities that also help in the protection of the land of the dragons. So the dragons see that as a useful thing.
I see. Okay. Thank you. Continue.
Yes. Okay. Continuing on from here, this, of course, like, very special moment for Violet. She's like new special person here. Dane takes this moment to kiss Violet for the first time.
The fresh
Violet
maker. Getting fresh.
Yeah.
Right.
Violet realizes she feels nothing for Dane anymore because
bummer.
she likes Xaden instead.
Wait, but why? Just because he came down in that moment and was like...
No, I mean, she's always had the hots for him ever since, she saw him.
But just because man pretty, right? Like, not because man has any qualities, just man pretty.
Yeah, he's generally very hot and, like, he's tall and he's strong and, like, just a pretty guy, you could say. Anyway, so yeah, Dane kisses Violet here, and Violet realizes that she feels nothing about that. So Violet now has to attend like flying classes, and she's also like continuously falling out of her perch upon Taryn, and he has to keep catching her, and like other riders are also dying, but she gets special treatment because of this. So she's super special the whole time. Another time during this like after period, another student's signet power manifests. He can hear everyone's thoughts, and he's having like all this crazy, like, get out of my head, I can hear everyone's thoughts, oh my god. So at this point, another teacher, a professor at the War College, walks over and snaps his fucking neck because it's illegal to have mind reading powers like that. So, like, he's immediately executed on the spot by a professor for having the ability to read other people's minds.
Wait, and he didn't know that?
No, because the signet power didn't manifest until, like, that moment. There's, like, a period of time after you're bonded with a dragon.
Sorry, I meant
like, a little
he didn't
tattoo.
know that it was illegal. Like, he himself, the guy who developed the powers, didn't know it was legal, and therefore he should shut the fuck up about it, and maybe not.
Unclear about that. He was just having a real bad time hearing everyone's thoughts and things like that, and he was just murdered for it.
Okay.
So to be clear about how signet abilities work, like once you're bonded with a dragon, you get like a little bond tattoo on you as well. And then you are over time supposed to learn how to channel the magic through the dragon. You're like mentally linked with them to the point where like you can feel the dragon's emotions, and like they have like all this energy and power that flows through you.
Wait, so at all times, like, when the dragon's like mating, correct, and they can like,
hey Paris,
feel when
hey
you're...
Paris, guess what you just guessed happens in a moment. So yes, indeed, that is a key factor here. But back to how signet powers work. You're supposed to like hopefully manifest
still the hole. I need a second.
Okay. Yeah. You're supposed to manifest your signet powers, because if you don't, like, the dragon power juice wells up in you so much that you might spontaneously combust if you don't successfully manifest your signet power. So there's like a little bit of a timer on this.
This book has too many like arbitrary rules and parts to it. It's so sorry. Please continue.
Yeah. Okay, so like there's some illegal signet powers, and like there's some things that like there's a timer now where if you don't like learn how to manifest your signet power, you might explode randomly. People's necks getting snapped all the time, but that's sort of like par for the course.
Of course.
One night, Taryn basically bellows into Violet's mind, like, you better wake the fuck up right now, because he realizes that there's a bunch of riders that did not bond with a dragon during the threshing. They weren't killed either. They didn't bond, but they weren't killed. And they're just like still part of first year. The deal is if you're an unbounded rider, you can kill a newly bonded rider, and that dragon might then take you as like their new rider. So like there's incentive.
The cycle of murder continues. Exactly.
Remember, unless you're asleep, in which it is very illegal to do this. So there are basically like 6 unbounded riders that burst into Violet's room to murder her, except Taryn was able to like sense this or something and like wake her up. just in time for that to happen, for her to like sort of like get her shit together. By the way, she's like a dagger fighter, like she has like all sheaths, like 12 sheaths of daggers on her like armor that she wears at all times. So she's like a daggery person. And Taryn wakes her up just in time to defend herself, but she notices that when like the people burst into her room, that there's one person at the door that like runs off as soon as the door is opened. And she realizes that was Amber, leader of Third Wing. Mm-hmm. And it's very, very bad news for a wing leader to like sort of like let this thing happen. So that this is like a big, huge deal. Anyway, Violet tries to start fighting these people off, but of course she's outnumbered until Xaden appears, because he is there just in time to like unleash his shadow magic and snap everyone's necks that was trying to kill Violet. And Violet's like, how did you know this was happening? And he's like, listen, because Scale and Tarn, our dragons, are bounded mates. They are dragons that are bounded together forever. So Paris, I'm taking this thing. So please predict the rest of Fourth Wing's plot from here on out, Paris. I want you to please predict the rest of Fourth Wing's plot from this moment forward. What do you think the deal is here? Remember, Xaden is like the rebellion leader's son. They are now bonded with two dragons who are also mate bonded together.
But then there's the third. All right, so at minimum, dragon polyamory, probably human as well. All together, just a big nest of genitals happening in this book.
Yes.
And then, I don't know. I don't really have a sense of like the greater war and all that stuff. So I feel like I don't have any way to predict.
Don't worry. We're halfway through the book now, and this is all just Dragon School shit that we've been reading the whole time.
Magic School stuff continues to just sap the life from me. Okay. I'm gonna say polydragon, polyriders, polymailers. I'm not sure what else though.
What do you think like the rest of the book ends up like centering around, or like the major conflict happening here?
I guess just that stuff, just like the stupid romance shit, right? Like between like
basically. So Scale and Tarn and Xaden and Violet are all in each other's heads at all times, period. And they cannot be. They cannot be. Well, you can like kind of learn to block some of it out a little bit.
What about the other dragon, the golden girl there?
She's separate from this. She's actually in Violet's head as well, but she's not part of that whole like.
So you got a group chat and then just a one-on-one text chain with Al the Golden.
Well, there's also the subgroup chat of Andarna and Tarn and Violet. Like they have their own group chat. And then there's the Tarn and Scale and Xaden and Violet group chat.
This is like having an Android when everyone else has an iPhone. Ask me how I know.
Like Andarna's do.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the middle of this fight that was happening as well, Violet was able to momentarily stop time so that she could dodge shit because Andarna, turns out Andarna is just a juvenile dragon. And a Feathertail is just a juvenile.
No one thought of that yet? Where's the dragon ecology? Where's the rich dragon ecology we are missing
No one bothers to figure that out yet,
because
because like no one even really sees the Feathertails around that much. So it's like you don't have any samples, and dragons won't even let you get that close to them or anything like that.
I'm so disappointed.
And so the deal with a juvenile dragon is that instead of like manifesting a signet power, they can like sort of like gift you an ability directly. You don't have to channel it. And Andarna's ability is this time stop thing, but when she uses it, when she gives it to Violet, she's like severely weakened and like sleepy, and it's like a bad thing to like do it too much. There's a limitation here. You can only stop time for like, I don't know, a couple of moments, and then Andarna's like really drained. So this is all revealed to Xaden and basically to Violet, because Xaden knew it was up, because he's all pissed now, because he's like, I'm fucking chained to you. And here's how it works. If Violet or Xaden dies, so does the other one. So like Supposedly.
Why?
Like, they're not
Through
even
the
like 100%
transitive
sure.
property of dumb bullshit?
Yes.
Like,
Exactly. This also
they never
works
perform
through like
a rite, right? Like, there's never like a transfer of DNA or like a magical ceremony to bond them. Like,
there's like a magical channeling moment when they're bonded and she like feels the power and stuff like that, but it's not like a formal ceremony or anything. There's just like, I've chosen you, Violet male, or whatever. Anyway, at the same time, I should inform you of some other mechanics about this. Because Scale and Tarn are mate bonded, if one of them dies, so does the other one. And also, if you are bonded with a dragon, if your dragon dies, so do you. The only thing where it doesn't work is, if you remember before, if you kill a rider who's bonded to a dragon, the dragon doesn't die. So you can kill the human and the dragon is cool. But in any other way, if Xaden dies, so does Violet. If Scale dies, so does Xaden, so does Violet.
Wait, but
if
why
Tarn dies, so does Violet, so does Xaden, and so on and so forth.
Hang on, but was there a precedent of this happening where there's like bonded human and dragon pairs, like romantic sex?
Yes, there is.
Oh, okay, all right. I mean, that's still
not
stupid.
romantically. Well, like the dragons are bonded romantically, but their riders don't necessarily have to be.
Oh, I don't know if that's worse or better.
Well, let's move on to
having
the
to
next
listen
scene.
to dragon sex in the back of your mind all the time. Like, guys, I'm trying to study.
The
please.
next scene is Violet listening to dragon sex in the back of her mind because Scale and Tarn are getting it on, and boy, is she horny. It's so unrelentingly horny that she has to get up out of bed and like take a walk.
All right, so
like out in the cold.
I was not far off when I was like, these humans gonna fuck dragons. No, they're gonna get horny about the dragons fucking who are in their heads.
Yes.
They got personal dragon porn loops just happening.
100%. That is happening. Violet has to go take a fucking walk.
I can't do this.
She has to go take a walk, and guess who's also like hanging out outside trying to block out the dragon fucking in his head? It's Xaden Ryerson.
Chris, hang on a second. When Rebecca's falling asleep, what happens when these parts come on? Do you guys also just both wake up and are like, well, we're indescribably horny from the dragon?
No, we're both trying to go to bed, so generally that's not how it works.
I can't imagine being next to your partner and hearing this being read. Like, how did
oh yeah, there was some nights where like she would just turn it on, and it would, like, I remember actually this scene being one of the things that was being read, so I was like, this is actually what tripped me over into like, I'm gonna read this shit for TBC. This is so dumb.
Of course. All right, so of course they're out at night, so of course they're gonna like fuck in the shadows somewhere against a curtain wall or something.
Close. Xaden's out smoking a fantasy joint or whatever. It's called Churum or what have you. It's the only time it appears in the whole book. He's out there smoking some Churum to like, block out the dragons or what have you.
That sounds just like churro. Like you're smoking a churro. Like...
That's also what I thought of at the same time. It's like, listen, I just gotta cram as many churros as I can.
I've been there. I've had to cram a lot of churros in a short window of time. I've been
because of the horniness being imparted into your brain by your dragon bondmate. You've been there?
No, because a restaurant is closing very soon, and you need to finish the churros.
I see. You just don't want to piss off the staff,
right? Yeah, or have another engagement, and I must consume the churros before departing.
Okay, so of course both of them
somehow dumber than I ever
horny
imagined.
About it. Xaden tries to give Violet a little bit of like block out the dragon sex in your head training, like ground yourself.
Block out the dragon sex by having your own sex with me, Xaden Ryerson.
No, he's like, we shouldn't do this, but he's like clearly flirting with her during this. Anyway, they're overtaken and they kiss. They make out a little bit, but then they're like, no, we can't, we mustn't, because that would be bad to get.
Why would it be bad?
Because I don't know, because they're like, we shouldn't do it. Also because of like the whole background where like your mom killed my dad, and that's kind of weird.
But you can constantly always die at any point. Wouldn't you just be going with the flow with whatever? Because I mean, life is so ephemeral in this environment.
Not sexy unless there's a little bit of tension here, right, Paris? So like, Okay. At the same time, after all this happens, they separate. The next morning, at the same time, during that scene, Violet told Xaden about the fact that she saw Amber as one of the people that like let all the Unbounded into her room. And Xaden's like, that's super fucked up. So the next morning, he formally accuses Amber of like doing some against the very vague rules shit that's like dishonorable.
Wait, but aren't they all they're supposed to be murdering each other all the time? What does it matter?
No. Like wing leaders, because she was also a wing leader. She's the wing leader of Third Wing, and like they can't fuck with each other, like or their squads or anything like that. On top of that, she like let this and planned this to happen while Violet was asleep, which is like the biggest rule that you can't break. Right. Essentially.
Okay. All right.
So this is extremely disgraceful.
Can't engage in the whole constant murder thing. Okay, got it.
And like this is extremely disgraceful to have that happen while you're asleep or whatever. Or
fair enough. Okay.
Something like that.
All right. Sure.
So Xaden formally accuses Amber. There's a huge uproar here because that's like a huge accusation. Dane hears this and he walks over to Violet and he's like, let me see your memories. Turns out his signet power is being able to see recent memories.
But isn't that illegal? Like being able to hear other people's thoughts?
Apparently not, because like his is like a classified signet where it's like you're not supposed to know about it. I think the deal here is that he can only read your recent memories if he touches you.
Okay.
So he's like, he goes up to Violet and he's like, let me see your memories. He doesn't ask. He just like says, let me see your memories. And Violet's kind of put off by that, but she lets him do it. And he sees that indeed Amber was part of this like break-in. So he's like, oh, I can't like he basically tells it to everyone else, where he like lets it be known to his dragon. And then those dragons can like broadcast this fact to everyone else. So it's like just, oh yeah, Amber totally did do that. And Taryn roasts Amber alive on the spot right there. And she's like murdered essentially.
So no tribunal, just immediate death.
Well, there was sort of a tribunal in that, like, Dane was like, let me see your memories, Violet, and then Violet let him do it, and then that was, like, enough evidence to, like, put Amber to death.
That's it. Done.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I just remembered we had these.
Conk, you're out. Okay. During this whole thing, Xaden now assigns another first-year cadet who's also, like, a marked rebellion kid as Violet's bodyguard, because Xaden can't be around all the time. He's got wing leader shit to be doing.
Wait,
and he's
people have bodyguards? But I thought it was all
No. This is a special assignment that Xaden gives to this dude Liam, because he's like, if Violet fucking dies, I die too. I don't have time to be like constantly watching your ass all the time.
Yeah, but
so Liam, it's your job to constantly protect.
But if this is already a precedent, wouldn't this mean that a ton of people have this arrangement where there's like people who need to bodyguard other people because they're bonded, and if one of them dies, the other one may?
We don't ever hear about any other bonded pairs like this in the story, ever, at all. Okay. So I'm not sure how rare or like common
traits
this is.
Or something, you know.
I suppose. Okay. So, yeah, Liam is assigned to be Violet's bodyguard. She's kind of like, I don't really like this, but he's actually kind of a nice dude. He's chill about it and everything. He's also like one of the top students in first year, so he's useful to have around to sort of like learn things from and shoot the shit. And he's just kind of a chill dude anyway, so like whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's happening all this during this, and like still like the hand-to-hand classes are happening, and Jack Barlow finally gets a chance to face off against Violet, and he's like obviously going to try to fucking murder her on the mat like he did with other people.
That's his jam.
But Violet knows that Jack is allergic to oranges, so she's got a little vial like orange zest or something.
Even be allergic to oranges?
In this world, you can, and she has got a little bit of like orange zest in her pack, and like at the last minute when he's about to like fucking kill her, she just like pocket oranges him, and he like has an allergic reaction. Exactly. Just fucking conks him right out there. Also during this, like, you know, she gets matched up with Xaden at a certain point, and they're like doing cute wrestling, and there's like tension between them because of it. And this is where we get introduced to Xaden's nickname for Violet that he comes up with. So
I can't.
Paris, yes. I would like for you to make a guess as to what Zayden's nickname for Violet is. And I will say that it is a pun on her name.
Okay. So Violet.
Now I want you to
what's her last name again?
Sorengale. Now I want you to remember they got sexual tension between them. They're in like dragon murder school and like survival of the fittest kind of stuff like that. I'll let you guess, and then I will read my second selection, which is from their sparring match, where the nickname will be revealed.
Oh, I think I got it.
Okay. It's fart with reverb is the nickname.
No, I think it's violence. That's what I think it is.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
My little Violencia.
Chapter 9. I'm so completely screwed. Zayden steps forward, all 6 foot everything of him, dressed in midnight
can't be under 6 feet. Not allowed to live.
And a tight-fitted, short-sleeved shirt that only seems to make the shimmering dark rebellion relics on his skin seem like an even bigger warning. Which I know is ridiculous,
novel?
but somehow true. Paris, this whole fucking thing is a Harlequin novel, please.
Oh,
my
Lord.
heartbeat kicks up to a full gallop, as if my body knows the truth my mind hasn't quite accepted yet. I'm about to have my ass kicked, or worse. You are all in for a treat, Professor Emeterio says, clapping his hands. Zayden's one of the best fighters we have. Watch and learn. Of course you are, I mutter, my stomach twisting like I'm the one who's been snacking on Walwyn fruit peels. A corner of Zayden's mouth rises.
Wait, was that a product placement for a fantasy brand?
I don't know. Walwyn's a fruit, I guess. Walmart fruit. Nice brands.
Nice
fruit peels.
brand fruit peels. All right, sorry, that really derailed me for a second.
A corner of Zayden's mouth rises in a smirk, and the gold flecks in his eyes seem to dance. The sadistic ass is enjoying this. My knees, ankles, and wrist are wrapped, the white cloth protecting my healing thumb, a startling contrast against my black leathers. A little out of her league, don't you think? Dane argues from the side of the mat, tension radiating from every word. Relax, Atos. Zane looks over my shoulder, his gaze hardening towards where I know Dane is standing, where he always stands when I'm on the mat. The look Zane gives him makes me realize he's been taking it easy on me in the glaring department. She'll be in one piece when I'm finished teaching her. I hardly think it's fair, Dane's voice rises. No one asked you to think, squad leader, Zayden fires back as he moves to the side, discarding every weapon on his body, and there's a lot of them, and handing them to Imogen.
Okay, so he's also an asshole, like, in addition to being the love interest. He kind of sounds like a dink.
You know. The bitter, illogical taste of jealousy fills my mouth, but there's no time to examine that particular oddity, not when there's only seconds before he's in front of me again. You don't think you'll need those? I ask, palming my own blades. His chest is massive, with wide shoulders and heavily muscled arms alongside. A target this big should be easy to hit. Nope, not when you're broad enough for the both of us. A wicked smile curves his mouth as he stretches out his hand and curls his fingers in a come-hither motion. Let's go. My heart beats faster than the wings of a hummingbird as I take a fighting stance and wait for him to strike. This mat is only 20 feet in either direction, and yet my entire world narrows to its confines and the danger within. He's not in my squad. He can kill me without punishment. I fling a dagger straight at his ridiculously well-sculpted chest. He fucking catches it and clucks his tongue. Already seen that move. Holy shit, is he fast. I have to be faster. It's the single advantage I have. That's my only thought as I move forward in a swipe and kick combo Rhiannon's drilled into me over the past 6 weeks. He artfully dodges my blade and then captures my leg. The earth spins and I slam onto my back, the sudden impact driving the air from my lungs.
Oh, that's the wrong noise. Sorry.
Are you special victims uniting this?
No, I thought it's called doink doink, so I thought it was like the horny bonk twice. I didn't know.
No. I mean, I guess in a way, maybe. But he doesn't go for the kill. Instead, he drops the dagger he's caught and kicks it off the mat. And a second later, when air squeaks into my lungs, I lunge up with the next blade, going for his thigh. He blocks my strike with his forearm, then grips my wrist with his opposite hand and plucks the knife out of my hand, leaning down so his face is only inches from mine. Going for blood today, are we? Violence? He whispers.
Yes. I Surprise!
Spot fucking on, Paris. Spot fucking on. Congratulations
yes.
on winning that one.
Woo! Woo!
Anyway, yes. They go on to like do more sparring and stuff like that. And for the remainder of the novel, he's always calling her Violence. That's his nickname for her.
Hideously stupid. This author, Rebecca, we gotta talk. Bud, friend, person I do not know, and whose work I do not like. But we gotta talk about this. These are some bad choices.
Okay, so their classes are happening and things are moving on. During one particular competition at the school, Violet and her squad are permitted to fly to an outpost where Mira, her sister, is stationed.
The sister.
Yes.
Whatever.
She actually, at this point, she gives Violet that book of fables that her dad like gifted to her back. Like she was in possession of it, and she was like, here, you can actually have it back now for whatever reasons. The curious thing is that when Violet asked a scribe friend of hers about the Book of Fables, that scribe had never heard of it ever. She's like, what are you talking about? That's not in the...
Hey, this happened to me! Remember when this happened to me?
Yes.
A couple years ago?
Turns out. In addition, when Liam and Violet were doing some sort of like scribe business, because like Violet's like daily chores to like go to the scribes and like bring back like some of the materials that the scribes have prepared, because that's how the battle brief is sort of informed. They both noticed like they accidentally read a scroll that they are given, and the stuff that is said in the scroll is never brought up.
Scroll, man. Accidentally. You gotta unroll that. How do you accidentally read?
I don't know. They accidentally read a scroll, and like the material that is presented in the scroll is never brought up at the battle brief session that they attend later that day. So now they're like, oh, what else isn't being said at battle brief? Anyway, so while they're at this outpost, they're actually like the outpost is attacked by Griffin riders. So Violet and her squad have to like fuck off so that they're not caught in this like real live battle. And there's like this moment of stress when Violet gets back where she's like worried that her sister died, but she like, finds out that she's fine and everything like that. But anyway, she had this brief interaction with Mira, and she got to see her badass dragon rider sister do a little bit of dragon riding and shit as they were, doing that. Mira's signet ability is that she's like extra good at like placing the wards on the border and like protecting the wards. So she's like always out on the border, like maintaining the wards.
Just gonna remember her as Captain Firewall. That's what I'm gonna remember her as.
Yes, exactly. Pretty much. So during this whole thing as well, like this was like a multi-day thing that was happening, and Xaden shows up after day 3 because like apparently you can't be separated too far from your bondmate, or else like you get like, I don't know, like a really bad feeling, or like it just
you can't go on vacation by yourself.
Nope. Never again.
Right.
Nope. Never again.
Terrible.
Okay. We're getting close to the end here, Paris, actually. The final stage of the year begins. This is War Games. This is the final phase of the year where multiple intense challenges are given to like different squads and things like that.
Of course.
Violet's first task that is given to her squad is to play a capture the flag style game, essentially, where she has to like capture a fake dragon egg at the top of a tower, and another squad is tasked with like defending this and like not allowing the flag to be captured. Guess whose squad she's put up against? It's Jack. His squad is up there, and he's like, he's got a bounded dragon and everything like that, so he's ready to fucking go. During all of this, Jack is basically out for blood, and he attacks and nearly kills Liam and Liam's dragon, who's named Day. Diegh is how that is spelled.
Okay, sure.
This pisses off Violet so much that she finally manifests her signet ability, which is lightning control. So she just basically like throws a lightning bolt. She's aiming for Jack, but she doesn't have particularly good aim. And instead, she hits the tower that he's standing upon, which crumbles, and Jack is seen falling into the abyss, never to be fucking seen again. Okay. This is Violet's first actual kill. She was always pulling her punches before and never going for a death blow. And it kind of rattles her. Because it's like, even though like Jack is a murderous psychopath, she still feels like I've taken a life for the first time. So there is, some like hemming and hawing about that. She's all torn up about it, but Xaden is here to offer her comfort. And guess how he offers her comfort?
With his penis, naturally.
With his penis! This is the first sex scene in the book. It's a multi-page long affair, perhaps the most detailed thing happening in the book.
Wait, no, this is technically the second, because the first one was dragon mind porn.
Yeah, we're not like reading about like dragon cock or whatever or anything like that, but in this instance, we are 100% full like romance novel, like
the veins are out,
parting and things like that, you know?
Okay.
Turns out when you manifest a lightning control singing ability, you don't have good control of it. When you come, you throw lightning around. So like she like basically like shatters windows and shit. They're breaking furniture and all that fun business because you can't just have like soft loving sex when you're like doing.
I hate this so much.
Especially after you're comforting someone after their first murder that they've done. So like, you know, it's that vibe is happening here.
Not really. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
After this, we're still in the War Games period, by the way. That was just like War Games stage 1.
Okay.
Later, it's October 1st, and this is a day of celebration.
Why are we using our calendar for this?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you that. It's just regular old, like our calendar. It's October 1st.
Which is all these other stupid fucking names. Why isn't it like Schmecktemberland?
Nope, don't worry. It's just regular October. October is a celebration day because it's the day that the rebellion was officially quelled. Mm-hmm. So it's, you know, like a big celebration day around Navarre and Basquiat in particular, except it's a little hard on the people that were like marked in the rebellion kind of thing, right? Like those students are like, kind of having a bad day because that's the day all of their parents were executed.
Yeah, sounds bad. Sounds pretty bad.
Not exactly the greatest thing happening over here. And, you know, Xaden's brooding on the parapet, actually. Remember the parapet that they, you know, Violet crossed over to get in there? He's just, like, sitting on it and being like, oh, this is a bad day. And Violet, like, strolls up to him and he's like, don't fucking risk your life, please, on the parapet, even though he's also on the parapet. His logic is he can control shadows to, like, catch himself if he does slip off, but Violet can't do that. So, like, don't do that and all that shit. Anyway, Xaden's moody now, so you know what you do to comfort your bondmate when one of them's all moody?
Oh, suck them off.
Basically, yeah. Like they have sex again. This is the second time that they have sex, and she's still throwing lightning around and all that. And like he's going like, oh, violence the whole time. It's the whole deal kind of thing there.
Oh my God. Okay. He says it during sex scenes, Chris.
They're doing pillow talk. Violet says, I love you to Xaden and everything like that. When another member of Fourth Wing bursts in and says, Basquiat is under attack. Get the fuck up, everyone. Put your clothes on. And they all have to assemble out in the courtyard because, oh my God, Basquiat's War College is under attack, except that's just a war game thing. They got you all out from under wherever you were to assemble. And turns out that, like, it's another war game thing, and, you know, Xaden is supposed to fly out to another outpost beyond the wards, actually. And he is like assigned this. He's able to pick like his own squad. So he picks all like other rebellion marked people. And he also picks Violet to go with him because they're bonded, right? Like they can't be separated too long. This might also be a multi-day affair. So he's like, Violet, you got to come with me. Dane comes up and is like, no, Violet, you cannot fucking go. Do not fucking go. I'm not allowing this to happen. Mm-hmm. But Violet's like, no, it's my choice here. I'm going to go with Xaden. And Dane is like really, really sad about this. Like very, very, very sad about this. So Xaden picks the squad and they all fly out to this outpost beyond the walls. When they reach the outpost, Violet and Xaden are off making out a little bit when Griffin riders surround them. Yeah, no!
I was going to say that sounds a little irresponsible considering the context.
Yeah, so like Violet's all like, oh shit, we're about to get killed by all these Griffin riders, but they're friendly with Xaden. And Xaden is like revealed to like be working with these Griffin riders, and so is everyone else in his rebellion march squad. They all know and like have been dealing with these Griffin riders outside the wards of like the nation.
Okay, so what's the big deal? Just because they're like the Griffins and the Dragons don't like each other, or is there like more to it than that?
The Griffin Riders are part of the nations that are supposedly attacking Navarre.
Right.
And so they are like sort of sworn enemies or what have you. This is a war that's been going on for like centuries and shit, apparently.
So what's their deal? Why are they cool with the Griffins? Because they hate the dragon people, I assume, because they murdered all their fucking parents and celebrated every year? Gonna guess.
That's what Violet thinks at the start, but Xaden basically reveals to Violet that the Griffin Riders aren't the true enemy. Instead, it's the Venin. Magic users who use magic who aren't bound to griffins or dragons. Instead, they channel magic directly, and this is bad because it corrupts your soul. Now, Violet has heard about Venin before in her book of fables that she got from her father, but she thought that they were only fables.
Okay, all right.
By the way, when Violet got that book back, there was... inside it, tucked in, was a message from her dad that she, I guess, never saw before, or maybe Mira placed there. And the message was akin to like, Violet, I know you'll make the right choice when the time comes, is essentially like the cryptic message that is left there. So, yes, it's revealed that Venin are these like corrupted magic users that are actually real, and they are the real threat against, I guess, Navarre and all the other countries outside of it. And Navarre is just like not helping anyone outside of their wards to deal with these Venin, although it is revealed that they know about the Venin.
Wait a second.
They like.
So the Griffin people are attacking Navarre, even though the Venin are attacking that. I mean, it just seems wasteful.
Yes. It seems like the Griffin Riders are looking for something along the borders of Navarre. No one really knows what that might be. Okay. But also so are the Venin, apparently. There's like something that they're looking for at these like border areas.
Okay, but why not? I don't understand. Why are we not dealing openly with the Venin threat then? Like, what's the problem there?
Something about Navarre leadership has decided to obscure this from people within Navarre's borders. It's also part of Violet's dad's message to her. He like has a line where he's like, it only takes one generation to rewrite history and the next generation to teach that history. And then forever after that, that's the official history and the truth is obscured forever. Violet, I'll know you make the right choice when the time comes.
Fair enough.
Okay. But the Venin are real. Even Violet's dragons, Tarn and Andarna, knew about the fact that Venin were real and like are a major threat, but they just didn't tell that to her until now when she like found it out.
Yeah, I mean, if the dragons can all talk and are sentient, and intelligent, then why would they like allow the humans to not accurately represent the... I don't know. I'm trying to understand this part.
They're part of this whole like, Navarre is like a cut off nation kind of thing. So unclear. It's not really part. We don't know too much about the war that's happening over here. So turns out this whole being sent to an outpost outside the wards was a trap set by Colonel Atos, Dane's dad.
Ooh.
So he leaves a message for Xaden's group, which reads, "Survive if you can." So how did Colonel Atos find out that Xaden and his group were perhaps dealing with the Griffin Riders? It's because Dane, his son, was constantly touching Violet and reading her memories without her knowing. And there was sort of a revelation at one point. Xaden let slip that he was going to this certain outpost beyond the wards, sort of unbeknownst to everyone else. That's the outpost that he just got sent to, actually. So Dane pulled the memory from Violet by touching her, by cupping her chin and being a weirdo, told that to his dad. They figured out that these rebellion people were like possibly working with Griffin Riders outside, and they were like, okay, sent them to this outpost essentially. And then they are given a choice because a squad of Venin are approaching a small village at the base of the outpost. And the choice that is given to Xaden and his squad is either go down there and save those people in the village from the Venin, or fly back and like prove your loyalty to Navarre by like coming back and like taking part of these like war games or whatever. So if they come back, they're condemning the people in the village to death, which is like going against the whole point of like why Xaden and the Griffin Riders are working together to try to like protect these people outside of Navarre's wards.
Dumb.
sort of a thing. So obviously, Xaden and the squad and Violet choose to stay behind and fight the Venin. There are 4 of them. Now, it only takes like 2 Venin to completely destroy like other outposts that are like placed. They're like extremely powerful magic users. They're immune to dragon fire. So just like breathing dragon flame upon them does not kill them.
Oh, sorry, question.
And in fact,
are they human or are they some other type of...
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They are corrupted humans. They've got like red eyes and like spider webby veins around their eyes. They look like all black metal and shit.
All right, that's dumb. They just look like like fucking Darth Venin.
Yes.
Darth Venin.
And then there's 4 of them out here, and they can manifest wyverns. So wyverns, 2-legged dragons, that they are not like bounded. It's not like a wyvern chose a Venin. A Venin will manifest and conjure wyverns, so they are controlling these wyverns. So they manifest a bunch of wyverns, and they're like casting crazy magic shit, and like basically Xaden and Violet and their squad are all outnumbered, but they choose to bravely fight to defend this village, and the Venin are clearly looking for something in this village, just like they have been recently. Anyway, the dragons and their riders are outnumbered. Violet, basically in all the stress of this, she starts like being able to like throw lightning around willy-nilly. She still can't aim that well though, but she's basically like pushing herself to the limit of like being able to throw her lightning around. If she does it too much, maybe her heart fucking gives out. And so Xaden's like, no, you can't keep doing this because you might die and then I might die. Liam's dragon Day is killed. And as a result, Liam dies as well. Violet continues to use her lightning powers, but in the last moment, there's like one Venin that's like flying around on the back of a wyvern, and she's like trying to like aim her lightning bolts at one of the Venin, but she keeps missing. She can take out a couple of wyverns by accident, but the Venin itself, she keeps missing until she combines Andarna's time stop ability with her ability to cast lightning. So like as the lightning is snaking downward, she can like more easily nudge it to like hit the Venin. She hits a Venin, it's like fried on the spot and killed. And when that Venin dies, so does all of the wyverns that it manifested. So she basically learns that this is the way to like save the village. They are able, like, there's also special daggers that they can use to fight the Venin. So the last big scene is Violet having to like fight a Venin on the back of Tarn, because a Venin like jumps off a wyvern onto Tarn's back, which is narrow and uneven like a parapet.
Of course.
So the whole parapet training was to be able to like fight hand to hand on the back of a dragon that's flying around.
It doesn't make any sense. How would you not just fall off because you're not tethered to it?
So I did neglect to mention a couple of things. One is that Tarn is able to use a little bit of magic power to like seat Violet better on himself so that she doesn't fall as much, but that's like, it costs him like concentration and stuff to do that. So Violet doesn't want to do that. At a certain point in the book, there was a cute scene where Xaden and Tarn mentally got together and they designed a saddle specifically for Violet. So during this whole scene, like Violet's in the saddle, which by the way, no other dragon rider has. It's just for Violet here that gets this. It's like sort of considered like, you know, looked down upon to have to do this, but because she's on the biggest, meanest dragon, no one gives her any shit for that. Yeah. And during the whole part where she has to like stand up and fight the Venin on Tarn's back, she like unclasps herself from the saddle and like does the parapet walk across Tarn and is able to stab the Venin with the magic dagger that kills the Venin. But the Venin also stabs her with a poison dagger. Oh no!
Oh no!
So her last, like the chapter ends with like her kind of blacking out and falling off of Tarn.
Okay.
We come to from Xaden's point of view.
Oh, is this the first point of POV switch in the book?
Yes, this is the first point POV switch in the book. We are now from Xaden's point of view.
Put a point for a POV switch.
And he, of course, he is like
fraction.
Tarn has managed to grab Violet as she was falling. They did save the village. And like they are brought somewhere undisclosed where Violet gets some healing and is able to reverse the poison that's, you know, in her. And Violet's coming to and she's like, oh, where are we, Xaden? And that's when Violet's brother Brennan walks in and says, welcome to the revolution, Violet. End of book.
I knew I wasn't going to like it. But
I like the silence. I just like the silence there. I
just really, really don't like it.
Okay, how's it hitting you, Paris? How do you feel about Fourth Wing? Now, I didn't give you every last single fucking detail because we would have been here forever. It's already been like 2 hours here, or an hour and a half that we've been doing this.
Of recounting Fourth
and we still
Wing.
have some more, and we still have some more to get through after this. So, how do you feel about this?
Not great. Very not great. Don't like a lot of the choices.
Do you have any questions for me?
No. No.
Okay. You're just flat out being like, I'm done with this shit already. Okay. So this was sort of like a mild test run of a format that we might be doing for season 10 here, where one of us just recounts the story and the other person's just reacting it. This isn't an effort to sort of like cut the work in half that we both have to do over the year. Paris, how are you feeling about this format? I feel like I had a lot of fun on this one, actually.
I mean, I'm having a great time sitting here with no prep. That ruled because I had a very busy weekend because I had to do a guest spot at a fest in another state, so I was gone for 4 days. So it was great to just be like, oh, I don't have to worry. I just have to show up and
I think
maybe get burned by the sun coursing through the window here. Be half burned.
Yeah, that's that dragon fire on half of your face right there.
Yeah, I don't have resistance
to that. You're not
to
worthy of the sun dragon. You're going to get crisped alive.
Yeah, I'm actively
Your posture wasn't good enough.
Clearly.
All right. So that was Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros in Paris. I got to tell you, I didn't really get across like Violet's voice in all of this.
Yeah.
Is just like so petulant. She is like, her main thing that she keeps coming back to a lot of the time is, do you remember when she was like, fuck that, in like a part, like a thing that I read out there? I might have skipped over that actually. But she's always doing this. Like every time someone is like kind of shitty to her, she's like, fuck him, fuck that, fuck her. It's like every time that happens, it's like fuck period blank period happens so many times in this book. She's just kind of petulant the whole time during all of this. And it's like a very annoying viewpoint to read from in this book. In
addition to the story being I would argue rather silly and ridiculous, you also have a main character that you're supposed to like, but you're saying is actually quite annoying and hard to enjoy.
I mean, also, she's like in this life or death, like war college thing, and she's really concerned with like getting laid. She is enormously horny most of the time, even before the whole horny dragon bond happens.
I mean, like, I understand being in a situation like that where your expectation is that you may die any day. Then I understand people, indulging in whatever bodily urges they may have, whether that's a succulent meal or, sucking your dick or whatever, I get it. But it is odd that it would be an all-consuming thought and not just an errant, like, oh, I'm going to bang this guy tonight or whatever.
Oh, no.
Like,
she is, like, so concerned with, like, Xaden especially. There's like a scene where Xaden is like sparring with another dude, and it's just like the whole chapter is like, wow, they got their shirts off and they're wrestling. Isn't that hot? And like everyone's staring at them doing their hot sparring thing. And also there's a whole thing where Xaden has like 107 scars on his back because that's like the 107 cadets at the war college, and because his dad was the leader of the rebellion, he's personally responsible for all 107 cadets, and if one of them betrays Navarre, he is also put to death.
Okay.
Which I did not feel was relevant to this summary at all, so I mostly left it out.
Just another painful sigh.
Okay, I do have to say that, like, I also kind of get why this is popular. Because, like, if you want to write horny dragon school stuff that's just there to be horny dragon school, it's a little bit brutal. Like, it's kind of decently done. It's like not as bad as some other YA stuff that we've written here. I'm not going to say it's terribly emotionally complex. There are moments like the whole pillow talk part where Violet tells Xaden that she loves him officially, where there's like a little bit of like, yeah, I'm like in this crazy situation and I just need to like be true to myself at this point. So I want to give the book credit there that there's a little bit of that, but just a little bit. Mostly is just basically objectifying Zayden Ryerson the whole time.
Chris,
It's like a
I'm going
very
to say
beautiful
something.
guy.
I'm going to say something controversial.
Okay.
I think Dragon Prince was a better version of this.
Oh, 100%. Actually, I agree with you on that one.
Even though it had a assault scene, I still think
Yes.
that overall the ecology of the dragons and the overall story, and even though there was a love story that I hated, it wasn't as silly as the Saul was, and the writing was decent in that book from what I remember. I mean, it has been many years and my brain has been melted by years and years of terrible books because this was early on, right? Was that
That's
first
the second
season?
phase of this episode too.
First season or second season of the show? I don't remember.
It was like the second season, I believe, that we got.
So
to
we're
Dragon
talking
Prince. But I agree.
8 years ago.
Even though
so.
Dragon Prince wasn't strictly dragon riding school, it was still a much better version of what's going on here. But I would, at the same time, I wouldn't classify Dragon Prince as YA. I would classify that as just like straight
this
ahead
is
fantasy
YA?
novel.
This is supposed
Yes.
to be YA?
I'm so sure that this fits under that bill, man. Like how else? Like what else is it supposed to be? It's like explicit, like dragon school and like, you know, dragon riding classes, and like it really hits me as YA. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure I have a bone to pick with all these people. Like a best fantasy novel in 2023. I am so sure there are better fantasy novels happening in 2023.
Sorry, y'all. Definitely not.
Okay, Paris.
That
Do you have
makes me
anything
feel
else to ask?
even worse about it. Do we ever encounter pregnancy in this series so far?
There's a mention of like, you know, birth control plants that you can take to not get pregnant. That's about it.
Okay. And do we ever find out what the rebellion was about? Like what the deal was with that?
No. Just flat no.
All
I don't
right.
have any further explanation. There was a rebellion, and it was put down.
Rebellion
and
against
then
what?
all the
For what
children
reason?
of the rebel. I don't know.
Okay.
They just like they stood up against Navarre, and then we crushed the rebellion. The end.
I guess that sucks because why do I care at the end when they're like, "Welcome to the rebellion"? It's like, all right, I don't know what this even.
I
what
guess
we're rebelling
that's the
against.
hook for book 2, where you get to find out what that was even all about. I'm going to guess.
I guess. Huh.
Okay. And Paris,
right.
with that, we are closing the book on Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. And this was our test run of a possible format for season 10 of Terrible Book Club. Honestly, maybe a lot of changes for season 10 of Terrible
Chris,
Book Club.
You didn't
yes.
score this based on all the categories.
There's no rubric here. There's no rubric. We're not implementing the rubric for this style. It's just we're some friends recounting stories.
I am insisting on the rubric. I am insisting.
You're insisting on the rubric.
I need you to give me a score for. I need you to give me a score for technical construction. I need a score for plot coherence.
-1.
Okay. I need a score for prose and dialogue.
I'll give it a 1, honestly.
Okay. Really?
Yes.
All right. And then a score for Terriblo's presence.
I would say a 0 on this one. It wasn't insane like that. It was like there's a lot of like lore breaking, which is why I gave like the plot a -1. But that's not necessarily Terriblo's presence. I did not feel like sort of tentacled too hard by this.
Okay. Shit. What am I missing? What's the other
Should
score?
this exist?
Oh, that is the score. That's right. Should this exist?
Which is 0. So my overall score, it was 1, immediately taken away by a -1, 1 on prose, 0 and 0. So that's a 1 total, which I feel is pretty good for this book, I have to say.
All right.
I didn't realize we would also be doing a rubric. I'm trying to like consolidate things so that we're doing shorter episodes. This was not successful. This was the longest fuck episode.
Oh no,
Actually,
I just wanted you to give me the values just like you just did because I figured you'd have a visceral reaction, so that was great. Perfect.
Okay, and we are closing the book on Fourth Wing. And like I said, Paris and I are just kind of figuring out what season 10 might look like. I don't think it's going to be exactly like any of the previous seasons. Terrible Book Club takes a lot of time and effort.
Yeah, and I got a lot of music shit to do next year, so...
Yeah, and like, to be clear, it's not for that much reward. Like, we don't really use patron money for anything except, like, book-related stuff, hosting services, maybe once in a while we go out to Veggie Galaxy and things like that. And so we have to kind of start weighing our time consumption against what we're getting back for it. I mean, the show, it's been a lot of fun. We've certainly had a handful of fans, but like when you look at the growth statistics, you have to kind of start deciding how you're going to approach using your time.
And to put a finer, to just be, I guess, more clear, this project was never about making money or becoming famous or anything like that.
No, it wasn't.
But we are just, I think, busier now than we were when we started it. In the last couple of years, we've tried some tactics that have been successful in cutting down the amount of time we're spending and to give ourselves breaks. Like, we pre-record the whole year as soon as we can. I mean, last year we finished in August. This year we're finishing today. So
this is the last thing that we're recording for the year.
So at least we'll get like a 3-month break and then be back and then do the same thing. But yeah, so Chris's idea was to just have each of us read, like one of us will read the book for the episode rather than both of us reading, just so that it's a little more manageable for next year. And we're going to see next year, by combining those two tactics, if this can be a little bit more long lasting, because we're sort of at the point where we're wondering, like, how much longer can we really do this with how busy our lives are with music and with everything
sort of
else?
The big thing here.
Yeah.
Is like, Terrible Book Club is a lot of fun. I get to talk with my friend Paris about some fun stuff and we have a good time. But at a certain point, we want to do other things that are probably a little bit healthier for our brains in the long run.
Yeah.
And things
and like we do. Yeah. I mean, we do read good books as well, but it is very hard to read as many good books as we would like and like play video games as much as we would like. I don't know, like I had a lot of health stuff going on, so I had to completely orient my life around doing strength training and stretching. Wow, that didn't come out. Strength training and stretching at least 3 days a week, and for the last year and a half now. And Chris and I both have regular jobs and music. Like we're both musicians and bands.
Well,
and
Paris,
bands.
About that for me.
Well, you do. I mean, the shape of your job is changing, but you still have
recently unemployed Chris here.
That's not true. Don't listen to him. He was teaching for a school. The school closed, but then all the students are still coming to him. So everything's fine.
Not all of them. A handful of them are coming to me for some online lessons. Who knows if that lasts? I'm trying to work out some other shit here, which is another reason that I have to be judicious about my time reading.
Hire Chris.
Yeah, like I don't know if I can put on my resume, read a bunch of shit ass books.
But you can put on all the audio work you do for the show, which we're all very grateful for.
Yes, that's
I largely come up with all the ideas, and Chris is left to execute my mad science plans.
Speaking of time spent reading terrible books, Paris, it's time to move into phase 2 of episode 200.
Oh yeah, here we go.
The Terriblo's Choice Awards. Hooray! We are looking over the last 100 books that we've read, and they are being put into a pool to be considered for certain categories of awards here. Not every book will win an award, but Paris and I have helpfully put together a list of possible categories to award things. And honestly, this might be quick and easy here because I feel like we've pre-filled out quite a few things here. And it's just, I think, going to be nice to go through all this and talk about some of our, favorite,
memorable,
notable, yes.
And as a reminder, before we get going, the last time we did this, the first time, the inaugural Terriblo's Choice Awards, all the way in 2020, 4 years ago.
Jesus Christ.
It takes us about, every year we do about 25 to 27 episodes, or 24 to 27, depending on like how the calendar falls. So it takes us 4 years to do 100 episodes. So a lot has changed since that episode.
I'm so different and so scarred. I have 107 book scars on my back, and if any book betrays us, I will be put to death by Terriblo himself.
No, you have 99 scars since the last Terriblo Choice Award.
That's true.
Anyway,
it's a shame I'm not tall and muscly and sexy like Zayden Ryerson. God damn it.
So last time you may remember that we had some categories that we had sort of listeners send in, and some we came up with. Others were patrons or friends. So we kept it mostly the same. I think we only had 2 new ones. We had one from listeners, which we'll do at the end, and then Chris, I don't actually know where this category came from, but that's okay. And then another category. Anyway, so there's several categories. Let's I don't know, Chris, are you ready to start at the beginning or
hell yeah. I'll let you lead this section of the show.
Yeah, you did do a lot of talking, so I'm happy to MC this. I'm happy to be your host for the second quadrennial Terriblo Choice Awards. I don't even think that's the correct word. All right. Our first award is for the biggest surprise. So we are considering books from episodes 101 through 199, and we're only considering books we reviewed. I guess the full stories we read with Antiques Freaks could theoretically be considered as well, but we're not going to consider any of the good books we read that we talked about or anything like that. So any true books or the short stories we read with the Antiques Freaks from episodes 101 to 199. Those are all of our nominees. I am not going to read them all because
we're not going to read 100 titles out.
A very long
time.
Just
look at the episode list yourself to know what the pool that we are choosing from.
You know what this is. All right. So our first award is for biggest surprise. And Chris and I both had, I think, we each had a runner-up and then I
feel like there is one clear book that impressed us quite a bit. Like, we were expecting something to be absolutely bonkers, but we came away quite pleasantly surprised. And that was...
All right, no. You do runners up first, and then you do the winner.
Fine. Shit. Okay. Sorry. Well, I gave away the winner on this one. I won't do that again. I apologize. I'm a terrible presenter.
No,
Don't ever let me present your award show. My runner-up was Sword Woman. I liked Sword Woman a lot.
Yeah, and my runner-up was Man, Fuck This House by Brian Asman. Thank you, Will. Actually, I have a side story because of Will. So Will, our wonderful patron and listener who has been a patron and listener for years and years, he recommended Man, Fuck This House as a gift to us, and he does this every once in a while where he'll gift us. He'll be like, hey, I'm a patron. I want you to read this. And we'll be like, okay. But he's like, but it's actually probably going to be good. And it's very nice. It's a little balm for our sunburned souls.
Yes, indeed.
And over the weekend, I got to meet John Darnielle, who wrote Universal Harvester, which was another book that Will had recommended to us that we absolutely loved. This was, of course, in, the previous 100 books. And John Darnielle was wonderful. It was fantastic to meet him, and he really loved the band that I was doing backup vocals for this festival, and it was just like such a delightful crossing of my two life paths of like books and heavy music. And
Paris, did you tell him about TBC? I didn't get that from you when you recounted the story.
No, I didn't. I didn't tell him because we were having a real conversation, and I tend not to try to tell
fake
people.
As fuck.
No. I just tend not to outright be like, I have a podcast where I review
it sucks to be that guy.
Unless it's directly relevant, I don't mention it. And even though we did talk about how much we loved the book, I don't know. It's not worth it. I just wanted to have a genuine.
Wait. How did you reveal to him that you read his? Were you just like, I read your book at some point?
I just said, hey man, I loved Universal Harvester, and he was so delighted because he was like, oh, that's like my favorite thing I've made. I'm so happy that someone loved it so much. And, we had two conversations. One of them was pretty short. But he was just wonderful. So thanks, John Darnielle, for being awesome. It was really cool. And thanks, Will, for recommending that book so that years and years later, I would have this crazy, fun meeting. Life is
ripple
wild.
effects.
Life is wild.
Yes.
yeah, the mountain goats guy. Yep. He's great. So anyway, weird. My life is weird.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Anyway, back to these awards. I like Sword Woman because like I thought it would be more misogynist than it was.
I know.
It's sort of it was like moments. It had moments of sure. It was like a 60s fantasy or something, right? So like it's just gonna have a little bit of that. But overall, like it was just about a lady kicking ass and being like a barbarian.
Yeah, it was,
in terms of like D&D class, like not like, you know.
Yeah, it was. I agree. That one was better than I expected. And then Man Fuck This House was just so fun and weird. That was such a great one to read for Halloween. Really quick read. The writing was great, and it had this introspection in it that I didn't expect to. I just remember that was another one I was pretty delighted by. So, all right, those are our runners up and our winner for the biggest surprise. Sorry, Chris, did you have something else to say?
No, I was going to say, now that I've ruined this already, should I present it again, or should I just like always let you do the presenting? Because clearly I can't be trusted.
Why don't you present this one, and then I'll do the next one.
Okay. Well, you already know. It's The Golden Basement.
Yes.
By David Norma Lewis.
Norman. You wrote normal.
There's normal on this one. Somehow it auto-corrected. Normal is totally normal Lewis. David totally normal Lewis. Anyway, it was just like, it's a weird book, but in like such a entrancing way, and it like the whole story is about the sort of like ripple effect of generational trauma and like how that affects you with this like super weird setting that's just done in like a very unique and cool way.
Yeah, so it had some really dark shit in it, but it also managed to be funny, and the writing was concise and poignant. Like, I don't know. That was truly the biggest surprise. I was really expecting that to be absolute dog shit based on what we had been told about it and sort of the stuff we saw floating on the internet, the posters we saw for, I don't know, the whole, everything.
There was
remember
a whole
the weird
thing.
ad? The like
donut shop somehow involved in that kind of thing. So we were like, this is going to be hell of weird, but it wasn't. Well, it was weird, but like in an intriguing way.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Should we move on?
Sure. Do we have any runners up for... Oh, sorry. The next category is Most Unholy Abomination. So
this is basically the Terriblo's Presence Award.
Yeah,
right?
this is like the brain melting absolute nonsense. And I'm
There's no
through...
competition here, Paris. There's zero competition on this one. There's no need for a runner up.
I don't know. I'm looking through this list and I'm seeing some stuff that's making me go, maybe we do have a runner-up.
I don't think so. I think there's an undisputed king of this one. Just like there's no like it takes the next two steps of like the winner's circle. Like there's no. It is also the runner-up.
I don't know. I was gonna say that I feel like. No, you're right. You're right, Chris. When you're right, you're right. The Most Unholy Abomination, as voted by both of us separately without knowing previously. It's Splattering Yet Endearing by Philip Yang.
There's just no fucking competition on this one, man. If you want your brain melted so quickly that you have no chance of recovery, finding a place where Splattering Yet Endearing was posted, well, I guarantee you will never have a normal thought again in your entire life after that one. Paris, I will never forget you on that episode reading an entire steakhouse menu out loud that had zero relevance to anything in the rest of that book. There, I cannot fathom deciding to put an entire menu in there. Never mind the rest of what's going on in there. Like the story about like these two people live together. They're not romantically involved, but they sleep together. Also, the lady like sucks the dude's blood and also him off sometimes, but it's totally not my girlfriend or something. Like, I have no idea. I have no idea how to explain what happened in that book to anyone.
I don't know either. And the other thing that's notable about that was I ingested that entire thing right before the episode in like a very small window of time. So I was just that shit was just plugged right into my veins, just infusing my body.
You are never the same again after that. You entered another dimension where
I did.
Honestly, hey, Paris, did you meet Tanner before or after Splattering and Endearing?
I
think after.
No. Well before. Splattering and Endearing wasn't that long ago.
That was the moment you went into the parallel dimension. Like, you paid enough blood to Terriblo that now you get to meet John Darnielle and like sing back up for Crip Sermon. Like, that was the price you had to pay.
If that was
trip into like your best life.
If that was the price I had to pay, I'm fine with that. Although I think I was already.
I have not given Terriblo enough. Clearly,
I don't know when this was. Because I feel like that actually happened kind of after a lot of sort of after that was already sorted, but I don't know. Anyway.
So yes, most unholy abomination is Splattering yet Endearing. Okay.
All right.
On to the next topic.
Oh yeah, sorry. Do you want to do the next one?
Sure. The next category is most toxic message. So this is for the book who we feel like if you read this and take its message seriously, that you're doing yourself a severe disservice.
Yeah.
I feel like, weirdly, my runner-up here is Arabiolosis. Specifically because that whole book is just like, you can just keep trying and it'll work out, when specifically this was written by a dude of extreme privilege to the point where he can fuck up many, many, many times.
That's true.
Before, like, something will work out eventually, essentially. And I'm not a fan of the whole, like, bootstrappy thing. Now, I do subscribe to you should try your damnedest. You should 100% try your damnedest. But I also don't think that success is purely measured by your ability to try hard. You can do everything right and it could still not work out, which is a horrible thing to think about, but it's just the truth. And to spread the message that, like, if you just try hard enough, your fucking Garfield cappuccino will take you places.
Wait, was that the message? Was that the message of that book? I don't even know if that book had a message, to be honest with you.
I feel like if it did have a message, that is what it is.
Okay.
It's like,
all right, that's
just
fair.
Try your damnedest. Can you talk about your runner-up?
Honestly, I was having a really hard time choosing because we read so many books with terrible toxic messages in them.
Yeah, that's a tricky one.
There were so many. I mean, even Mazes and Monsters had a pretty bad message that was any fantasy role-playing game will make you lose your mind and try to kill yourself and kill others, which is pretty ridiculous. But then we had stuff like Afterlife Love, where it was like, I don't know, just concentrate real hard and like you can have astral sex with your wife and live through 10 layers of heaven or something.
Yeah, I don't know if I put that in the toxic message category, because like, how badly is that going to mess up your life if you just sit there going, I'm having astral sex.
Maybe you're right.
Sex in the astral plane.
I know, but then we had like 100 proofs that the Earth is not a globe, right? I mean, flat Earth
that's
stuff. That sucks.
I guess
there are so many that were in my runner-up category. I'm honestly, I don't even know that I really settled on one, but I will tell you, I think the Book of Adonatology might be my runner-up. And the reason for that is that it tricked us, and that's why I hate it the most, because all the other ones, you knew the crazy was coming. Like, on face value, we're like, this is going to be bad. I kind of can guess what the toxic message is in this, but with the Donatology, it was so heavily billed as body positivity and like a love of women, like worshiping, I don't know, at women and kind of a love, sex positive attitude, whatever it seemed like it was just regular everyday misogyny kind of turned up at a notch. And
also specifically, you should have sex with the author, not even just like spreading like a sort of like free love kind of thing, right? Like, it wasn't even just like specifically me is who you should be having sex with.
I take it back. That's gonna be my winner then, because I guess the other one, My other choice was the 1776 report, just because of the impact it's directly having on all of our lives.
Yeah, that's a
that was going to be my.
Too, I gotta say.
You know what? Yeah,
I might give it to that one, even though mine is very similar.
I think the 1776 report is my winner, and the Book of Adonatology is a close second. Sorry, Chris. Yeah, what's your choice for most toxic message?
My original choice was the ladies' first MAGA hat romance one, because that one was all about like women just want to be subjugated by their betters and like taken care of by a big strong man kind of a message. But that's encapsulated by the 1776 report in some ways. So I feel like I will just hand it to the 1776 report, to be honest with you. So
all right.
I feel like I will give it to that in this category.
There's our winner.
Report.
So we're choosing the 1776 report for most toxic message because of the
obvious impact.
The cascading waterfall of diarrhea effects on everything around it. Great. All right.
This is the My Immortal Award for Worst Editing or Proofreading. This is from a listener. Yeah, suggested by a listener here.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Excavating Lizard, who's in the chat. Hey, Excavating Lizard. Yeah, thank you for your suggestion, I believe. Yeah, that was your suggestion. Thank you for double checking on this and being available to have your credit given. Thank you, Excavating Lizard, for suggesting this. So this is the category for stuff that I guess would fail the technical construction thing. Like the first hurdle that we put up in the rubric is this is the category here.
I mean, and we see a lot of this, obviously. So I feel like our selections were things that just really stuck with us afterward. One of them has become a recurrent joke. So it's like, it's got that level of sticking power. The other one, one of them I still think about. And then, a third here mentioned, I don't know. It haunts me, I think is the word to use.
Okay. So my runner-up here is Cultural Passport, which was a recent episode for us, so that's probably fresh in listeners' minds. But boy, just like the clear AI-ness and the repetition, good lord, man, like you should just look over it one time and you probably should have caught that right away. And just the Cristiano Ronaldo chapter, I got it right this time. You would think after having to read it so many times, I would have fucking gotten it right, but I didn't. So that's my fault. That's my own lack of editing in my brain, lack of rechecking there. But Cultural Passport was my runner-up just for pure repetition. Okay. And just like allowing the whole like Bean Night story to be in there. Cut that shit out. Come on, man.
I remember, and we had another listener comment somewhere. I forget if it was YouTube or Instagram, and they were like, cuckoo clocks aren't even Swiss. Like all these mistakes just everywhere. Yeah, that's a great choice. My runner-up, well, I was torn because I thought the winner should be Splattering yet Endearing, but it already won another award, and I think that's unfair because we have so many, but we have almost 100 books to choose from. So
yeah, we don't give you 15 Oscars like it seems to be the trend some years or whatever.
Yeah. Let's make this a little more fun and fair. So Splattering yet Endearing is my runner-up for the My Immortal Award for Worst Editing or Proofreading in a book.
It's a strong contender, though. It's definitely...
As Chris already mentioned, entire menus, bizarre changes in scenes in the same sentence at times.
Perhaps the worst formatting I've ever seen with random bolding and italicization.
And spaces, and the dialogue was not formatted correct. It committed every editing sin possible. So that was my runner-up. Chris, what was your choice? What was your final choice?
Millennium University.
Really?
Man,
okay.
Just for two reasons. Specifically the scene where they're like being presented on the football field and it's like the name is said and then everyone claps and then the next person comes and everyone cheers and claps like 15 times in a row. That is such a major editing sin that even Splattering Yet Endearing didn't stoop to that low. And on top of that, it gave me the line that cracked me up the most.
The recurring joke?
In all 100 books here, the line that cracked me up the most Babe, is it any more popcorn? Like that.
Baby, is there any more popcorn? Is it any more popcorn?
Is it any more popcorn?
Is it any more popcorn? Right.
Said by a character walking into the room and like sort of like being cut off by the, humorous circumstance as they walked into the room. But boy, oh boy, I just want a t-shirt that says, baby, is it any more popcorn?
If we ever get to the point where we have merch printing time, we got to do that.
Yeah. And no one will fucking understand that shit.
No, that's why it makes it a great shirt. Great choice. My choice was Interview with the Devil Part 1. What was the whole title for that?
Like
Interview
Victor's
with the Devil.
account?
Yeah, Part 1, Victor's Account by Skylar with 2 R's. Darren, also with 2 R's. That one, I just remember that one having, other than Splattering and Endearing, kind of the most alien language. Because, like, Cultural Passport had a certain type of alien style, which is like the AI alien stuff. But Interview with the Devil was something else, folks. If you haven't listened to that episode, we found that book because I was on Reddit and saw that somebody said I forget if I had asked what the worst book somebody had read was, or if it was just in response to the usual, books Reddit post about, like, oh, what's the worst book you ever read, which people post constantly. So this is kind of always material to dig through. Someone said, I reviewed this book and the author threatened to burn down my house. Like, no, really, actually. And it just had the strangest use of synonyms that I think we've ever seen, like constantly trying to use words that sounded like quote unquote different or clever, right? But actually sounded absurd and ridiculous. I believe, didn't they refer to wood as something strange? And like eyes were always like oracular orbs. It was just over the top in some really strange ways, and it chose some incredibly dark themes for little purpose, just really gory, disgusting stuff. I don't know. It's just something about the lack of editing and thought about how to put a story together, and also the lack of proofreading for, like, do these sentences even read like human sentences that people would say or read? So, all right. Sounds like we have a little bit of a tie between Interview with the Devil and Millennium University.
Yeah, are you willing to cede ground to Millennium University and call that the winner, or are you that adamant about Interview with the Devil?
Oh.
Interview with the Devil is a content editing fiasco. Millennium University is like a content and formatting and like...
Yeah.
Maybe that's just the other end. Maybe Millennium University is more like formatting and spell checking and that
but they both had terrible plots that were not well constructed or edited. So they both suffer from both sides of this.
I'm willing to give it as a tie. Co-award on this one.
All right. You're gonna have a tie.
The My Immortal Award goes to both Interview with the Devil and Millennium University. Congratulations, both of you. Okay. That means we can move on to the next category.
Wait, is this now called the Excavating Lizard My Immortal Award?
Yes, the Excavating Lizard My Immortal Award for worst proofreading and editing. Okay. So that means we can move on to the next category, a more fun one. Most likely to become an off-Broadway musical.
Oh yeah, this is a fun one. I forgot about this category.
I want to give my comedy option first for something that I actually just want to see become an off-Broadway musical.
So sort of like your runner-up, but not really.
Sort of like my runner-up, and it's the same thing. I feel like this is the really strong contender here that will keep popping up in a lot of categories. Splattering yet Endearing as an off-Broadway musical would be fucking insane in a lot of ways. It's definitely not the most likely, though, so it will not win this award for most likely to become an off-Broadway musical. I think my vote for this is actually Midnight Sun.
You know what? I saw that a ballet or dance troupe had done a Twilight ballet
That's what I mean, man.
So,
like, it's just like popular
possible.
enough that like random companies will try to like pull this stuff off in some way. So I think that's actually the one that's most likely to become some sort of off-Broadway, maybe even double off-Broadway kind of musical theater event there. So that is my contribution to this category, simply just by cultural inertia alone, even though Twilight's less and less of a thing at this point.
Yeah. Now we got Fourth Wing to contend with. My nomination for most likely to become an off-Broadway musical is Drag Queen Dino Fighters by MP Johnson. I think that would be fucking
that would slap though. That would fucking slap.
And we actually wrote
got all the
full
stuff in
song.
There. It's got all the music in there already, actually. So
yes.
You're right that is the most likely.
I mean, I would love to work with MP Johnson to finish writing the score, because we wrote Nightbird. We wrote an actual song, guys. If you haven't heard it, if you go to the very end of that episode, I forget is it after the credits or is it before the credits? I don't remember. If you go to the very end,
I think it's somewhere on there.
You'll hear the short song Nightbird that we wrote to go along with some of the lyrics in the fake songs in the book, and we had such a good time with that. Drag Queen Dino Fighters by MP Johnson. What a musical that would be. I don't know how they would do the dick sucking, but they'd figure it out. I believe in Broadway. Yeah,
you can do that. There's a lot theater people are creative. So I'm willing to cede my Midnight Sun nomination to Drag Queen Dino Fighters because that is absolutely the better choice.
Thank you. Yeah, I think so too. All right, great. Most likely to become an off-Broadway musical, Drag Queen Dino Fighters by MP Johnson. Ray, trying to put these in the chat. All right, Chris, you want to do our next one?
Our next category is most disappointing character arc, which
hard.
is, we thought it might have been okay, and then it just crashed and burned. And for me, that was Elphaba from Wicked.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it could have gone somewhere. You could have had something to say about, like, I don't know, animal rights or just, like, minority oppression or, like, how history gets rewritten to cast people as villains. And that's never, ever really touched upon. Like, it's sort of sniffed at, but nothing is done about it.
Yeah. I struggle with this a little bit because there's so many characters we've encountered that have very disappointing character arcs. So it makes this tough. And as I was looking, through all these options, I was just like, what really actually disappointed me? Not just made me upset, but like disappointed me. I have my runner-up, which was just that guy from Taurus 4. I don't know, that really bummed me out because it was about like body image stuff, which, is something I've suffered through my whole life and continue to struggle with at times. And it was really tough to see a character that had the promise of that I had the promise of identifying with, because he, had some of these similar struggles and stuff. And I was really like, oh, maybe this shitty old sci-fi paperback is going to go somewhere. But no, by the end of it, it's just like, I starved on a planet and lost weight. I'm so hot now. I can fit in my spacesuit better. It's just, God damn, I don't know. It's just disappointing. So that was my runner-up. I think my winner is Bridie. Was that her name? From Things in Jars by Just Kid.
Oh, yeah.
That actually made me that whole book was just a big disappointment because there was so much good stuff. We loved so much of that book, but ultimately Bridie just turned into like a simp for the ghost boxer.
Yeah.
Instead of like doing anything cool, I don't know. It bummed me out. I really wanted to like it, and it just sucked the life out of me, that one.
You know what? I kind of got to give that to you because that one had more promise than Wicked, I think. Like, from the get-go with Wicked, I was already kind of like, I don't know about this, but I enjoyed parts of Things in Jars, so like I had further to fall on that one when it never really went anywhere that I wanted it to. So I would give that also to Bridie and Things in Jars.
All right. Well, I was expecting that. Thank you, Chris. That's very
Speaking of characters, our next category is the Mary Sue Award. Oh, you know what this one's about.
Oh,
the
no.
most self-inserty thing that you can find here, Paris. And my runner-up is pretty obvious.
So many good ones. We've got so many good ones.
I know. My runner-up is very obvious. It's Rush Revere and the Brave Pilgrims, where fucking
Great episode.
Rush comes in with like all the data about how the Pilgrims were brave to come over here and be colonial shit over there. Like, I don't know, man. It's like you being the arbiter of what cool history is. No fucking thank you.
Yeah, no thanks, man.
So that's a very obvious one. What is your runner-up?
So I'm not even really sure, like, I think my runner-up is Afterlife Love. I mean, that is literally just like, hi, hello, it is me, right? Oh, no, wait, no.
Yeah.
The author is talking about...
Yeah, no, it's
somebody
claimed to like have been recounted to him.
Right, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like it's a self-insert. And that one...
That's classic Mary Sue stuff.
Yeah, I think Afterlife Love is my runner-up for that because it's crazy. It's one thing for somebody to say, this is my experience with meditation in the astral plane, right? It's another thing to say, hey, my friend, wink, wink, told me about his stuff. And also, I appear as a cool celebrity in the story my friend told me that I am now telling you. I am the wise guru of my friend's story. I don't know. There's something about that really just made it stick out to me.
Really double dipping there. Really double dipping there.
Yeah, for real. So Joyous, there's your Afterlife Love moment.
So I feel like maybe we both landed on the same thing for our possible winner here. Although Afterlife Love's still a good contender. We can make an argument about that. Yeah. But for me, it is so very clearly The Man Without Qualities.
Yeah, same. Bro. I also, very clearly because, and the reason, I think, well, there's a few reasons. Chris, what are your reasons? Let's start with you.
I mean, it's like, it supposedly takes place in this alternate history thing where like this professor gets together to create like a dull people's movement, and this somehow takes out Hillary Clinton because he goes to a rally of hers one day and he's like, what about taxes or something? And she just like sputters and combusts spontaneously and drops out. I forget exactly what the mechanism was there.
Yeah, it was very silly.
But it's very clearly about like boomer political science professor is the one that cooks up the political movement that finally unites everyone. And like, I also got to say, boy, did we make that author mad in that episode.
Yeah.
That was the maddest I've ever seen an author react.
It's very rare that, we'll have an author engage. I mean, not very rare, but I would say rare. I can only count on one hand the number of times an author has contacted us. No, I take maybe two hands. I can count on two hands. I'd say it's 10 or fewer times we've had an author actually contact us either by direct message or email or a comment somewhere or like, a YouTube comment. And I was shocked that Morris Berman even cared what we had to say because he's a well-known academic who's been long retired, and I like, why care what two people who read your book thought about? I mean, it's not like we carry any weight, so just found that really kind of shocking.
we really don't.
We're just a book club. We're just two friends talking about books, and we're obviously not going to like a lot of stuff. We intentionally read books that we think we're going to dislike. So sure, the content isn't fun for an author to hear a lot of the time. But when you're somebody who is so like, I don't know, he's he's maybe less well regarded now, certainly, but somebody who, I don't know, just doesn't need to be stressing out about this stuff. Like, why,
you shouldn't be stooping down to like us down here in the sewer. Like, let's be real about this.
Well, I was just surprised by the vehemence and the he kept returning. And there were other people too in the YouTube comments also very upset with us because we didn't like the book and didn't like Morris Berman. And a lot of it, I think, stemmed because we made a big mistake in the episode. We said something that wasn't true. It was an accidental, and we as soon as we discovered it was wrong, we added a note to the episode note. I mean, we're not going to replace the episode because it doesn't replace it everywhere. So it kind of seemed pointless to do that just for one small edit. But we had said on the episode that did we think he worked for Nixon or something, or Reagan?
Yes, that was the fact that we got wrong.
Yeah, and that was an accident because the person who recommended the book to us told us that, and we accepted it at face value, which is unusual for us, but I just think we didn't have any reason to not believe the person. And I also think that person told us that accidentally as well. I think it was probably just because Morris Berman is a common name, and or maybe they got confused. I don't know, but it wasn't intentional on their part or on our part. It was an accident. We got it wrong. We made a note that it was wrong. Whoops. But it was like people just kept hanging on that. And a lot of folks really, really hated, I think Berman himself really hated this as well, that we were associating some of the opinions in the book, and therefore some of the possible opinions of Berman himself, with right-wing or more conservative ideas. And that was very upsetting to this group of people and to Berman because they don't see themselves that way. And I don't know. I mean, the way you see yourself isn't always accurate, right? And I also think, I guess I was just surprised by how thin-skinned these folks were, in addition to this author. I mean, I think we were...
I'm not going to say that
I think we were very fair. I think we were very fair.
I do think we were fair. I'm not going to say like we have the correct political takes or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm not, no, I wouldn't. But
you can't tell me the fucking boomer ass scenes about him like picking up ladies at restaurants and shit like that don't Mexico. Really smell like some other stuff that we've seen in more right wing, especially romance fiction. But that's that's a small detail. So maybe we shouldn't have, or I shouldn't have hung up my hat on that too hard.
No. I don't think we did it. I don't think anything we talked about was incorrect. I think anyone in our age range with our backgrounds, I feel, would feel similarly. This is just, we are a different slice of the American populace reading this and consuming it at a different time from when it was written. And it, I don't know, just really surprised me. So yeah, Mary Sue Award, Morris Berman, Man Without Qualities.
Okay, now perhaps one of my favorite categories here, Harris. The Pepe LePew Needless Romance Award. Because when you just see a book and there's just a romance in there for some reason, it's not necessary at all.
At all.
They keep doing it. And you know what? Again, this is a clear winner for me. I have one book that for me,
I have a clear winner. Are we going to fight? Okay. Are we going to fight?
Maybe a little bit. Okay. My winner is E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial, because in that book, E.T. was horny for Elliot's mom for some reason. You're an alien from another planet. Humans probably look as gross to you as you look to us. I don't understand why in particular you're like out here MILF hunting for what.
Yeah, that's God. So I didn't, of course, I wasn't on that episode. That was Mary, our guest, Mary Parker, who's a wonderful guest. I love that episode. That was a great birthday present. Like, what a treat. Didn't have to do an episode, and then the episode itself was hilarious and perfect. I loved it. What a great episode. If you haven't listened to it, check it out. That is a good point. I did not remember that because I didn't read that book. I don't know, Chris. I think that's a great nomination, but my nomination is Wicked. Because no one needed that Fiyero shit.
I can see why, because ultimately the Fiyero thing, like, it was a driving action for Elphaba the whole time, but like, why did that have to be the onset, especially if like she wasn't even going to be part of that revolution after the fact? And
I didn't understand why Fiyero. It didn't make any sense. I guess
that
it wasn't convincing.
I do still think that could have been a good integral part of that plot, though. Whereas with E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial, there is no need for E.T. to be in love with Elliot's mom at all.
That's true, because the whole Elphaba thing, as much as I dislike it, she could have had I don't know. She could have had a baby with anyone. She didn't have to have I don't know.
But I think a romance could have still been the driving factor in the plot of Wicked. Right? Yeah. Like, even if it wasn't with Fiyero, if it was with a more believable person.
Okay.
And I get what you're saying is that, like, particularly Fierro, why him? I also agree. Why
Yeah, it didn't
specifically
make any
Fierro?
sense,
But
yeah.
the romance itself, I think, could have been done in a way that made sense in that plot. Whereas with E.T.,
Yeah.
it never would have made sense from the get-go. You should have shut that idea out immediately as soon as you had it.
I would have way more liked if Elphaba and like Glinda or whatever like had a romance, you know? I don't know. That would have made
Sure.
arguably more sense to me. All right, fine. I'll give you this. I'll give you E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial for the Pepe LePew Needless Romance Award. I think you're right, because that little alien did not need to be horny for that mom so much in that book.
Nope.
It was a lot.
Not
a lot.
at all.
A lot of time.
Not at all. Okay. We've got a couple categories left here. Next
All
up,
right.
the James Randi Award for Worst Nonfiction. Wow,
yes.
so many nominees in this category. It's so hard to pick, honestly, that
We had
like
a lot
narrowing
of
it down.
nonfiction, yeah.
There's it's really hard to nail down, but I still had a clear winner
Really?
of one
Okay.
that I thought would be like the worst. Like if you took it seriously, it would like fry your brain the most. There's close competition, but I feel like this one the most might have caused people to like, I don't know, sell off property or make a bet in a way that
Okay.
could not have been healthy.
All right. So what's your nom? Do you have a runner-up? Do you have just one?
I guess runner up for me would be Afterlife Love
Okay.
in a
All right.
way. But like for me, it's a very similar book here. My official, like, I think this should win is You're Becoming a Galactic Human.
Oh, yeah. What did it tell people to do again?
Like it was like there is a stream of light coming to Earth that will forever change us altogether and put us back in touch with like what we used to be as humans.
Right.
Just be on the lookout for it. Nothing's gonna matter as soon as we are all becoming galactic humans and we like merge with dolphin kind a little bit or something like that.
Were there yeah, you're right. There were dolphins in there mixed in. Well, mixing.
It was just the ultimate woo-woo. It was like everything packed in with like just disregard everything about real life. And not that I'm out here to say like the systems that we live in are the ones that you should be paying the most attention to. And maybe we could all use a little bit of throwing the baby with the bathwater out here in terms of how we live our lives. But You Are Becoming a Galactic Human has no bearing in reality whatsoever. So to me, it's like, I feel like James Randi himself would read that book and like die again.
Yeah.
If you brought James Randi back into like zombie James Randi form, that's how you would eliminate him.
I might agree with you. There are just so many. All right, you might be right.
So many.
I mean, there were so many to consider. You had How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big, Kind of the Story of My Life by Scott Adams. We had
Also another like just do good with a lot of money. Just like have a lot of money, man.
We had what were the other ones? What were the other non? I had the 100 Proofs That the Earth Is Not a Globe by William N. Carpenter. Like that's another great one. That's a great one for this category. There were, I think, two others that I was also considering. Let me just
Dancing with Cats is nonfiction, but it's not appropriate for this category. So good on you, Dancing with Cats. You just wanted to take pictures of people dancing with cats.
Yeah, you're good, man. Arabialosis was on there because that's a nonfiction book with just, I don't know, absolutely batshit suggestions. What about Dating in Crypto by Gabriel Bell? That one was awful.
That was such nothing, man, is what that was.
Signs from Pets in the
Hydrate
Afterlife was
Hydrate
on.
Right was actually good. I wouldn't nominate Hydrate Right because it was like decent advice to like just don't drink water so fast, but drink water.
Hydrate Right wasn't good, but it at least focused you on drinking water and getting some electrolytes, which I think is fine. I mean, it had a lot of problems, but
yes,
it's still you could skim something off the top.
Yes.
Signs from Pets in the Afterlife. I didn't love that. It wasn't the worst one, but it wasn't great. Genesis Diet. Ooh,
also, actually, yeah, that's pretty good. I would say that's my runner-up is Genesis Diet.
It might be Genesis Diet.
Where it's like, don't ever listen to any doctor or dentist.
Sandalphon Harmony and Archangel Breath Tap from the Archangelology book series also
Yeah,
So
that's
up
a
there-
strong woo-woo contender, too. I don't think it's quite got to the level of You Are Becoming a Galactic Human. That's like a subcategory of that kind
Yeah.
of woo-woo. But, like,
I don't know.
I still
do
got to
you
give it
think-
to You Are Becoming a Galactic Human.
You really think? Okay, so between You Are Becoming a Galactic Human and Genesis Diet, though.
Oh, Genesis Diet is... yeah, that's a good point, because
This is
Genesis Diet is
hard.
like a little bit more, like, possibly consumable by more people in a way that might make them believe it.
All right, I'm gonna suggest that we do another like double award, because we can sort of subdivide it between just like bad nonfiction and bad like medical / woo woo advice. I feel like, because my other thought was Feeding the Dragon, actually, as some bad nonfiction, because it was just, I think we determined that it was like almost certainly full of lies. And
Yes.
so it was like,
and also boring. So it
and
also
very
wasn't even
boring.
interesting.
Yeah, and very just a weird book to be like, I made Chinese movie deals, except maybe I really didn't. Everyone seems to hate me. I don't know. It's just a very odd nonfiction book, and it really always sticks with me when I think about the nonfiction we've read. So I would like to give it to Feeding the Dragon for just weird nonfiction, and then Genesis Diet for like bad medical woo-woo advice stuff, like health.
I got to agree with the Genesis Diet portion.
Okay. All right.
Feeding the Dragon, yeah, like ultimately that's just a bad nonfiction book that doesn't serve anyone. So I completely forgot about that guy. So that's how bad it is.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'll allow it. Yeah, I will cede ground on this one, Paris, and I think that both of your picks are better. That You're Becoming a Galactic Human just made such an impression upon me. Like I don't think I'll ever forget that one. Okay, that brings us to
that's okay.
a category that you wouldn't expect from us, but we did do last time as well. So we have to give it up for best romance. Legitimately a romance that we enjoy. Paris and I are generally like, you know,
that's hard.
We try to like, we're generally like sort of down on romance stuff. So to be fair, we have to give it up for something that we thought was done very, very well. And I think we do have an agreement here upon what was the best one, weirdly enough. But I have a couple runners-up.
A lot of runners-up there, dude. Wow, that's more than I would expect.
Yeah, I want to kind of give it up here. Like, I do think Delirium, the one we read where love was illegal, a stupid premise, but the emotional subtext was done well. And if I'm going to read a romance, that's kind of what I want.
But the emotional subtext that was good wasn't... I guess some of it was about the romance. Yeah, I guess you're right.
A little bit. That's why it's kind of a runner-up. Similarly, like Legends and Lattes was like sort of well done in a way.
Yeah, I think I started when I was filling this out. It was before, that was one of the last episodes we recorded. Yeah,
I agree. Option though, I have to have a comedy option on this one.
Of course,
is
yes.
The Hog by William Hope Hodgson. Just because, you know what?
Sorry, my water heater was out, so I was just getting an important text, but that snapped me right back out. Right back. Fuck my hot water. We gotta go hogging. Talk about the hog.
The Hog was a unique romantic journey, shall we say? Even though it wasn't explicitly done overtly as a romance, I think the jokes that.
Hell, pigs, get in your
the journey that we went on with the Antique Freaks on that episode just has a special place in my heart overall. So I want it to be considered for best romance.
Oh God, that's such a. I think we need to now. I just think we need to have best romance in a comedy and best romance general in a drama. So best
if
romance
it's comedy,
in a comedy
then it's just
is the Hog. Oh, Dee and Ken, I wish y'all were here for this momentous day. Best romance in a comedy setting. The Hog.
Okay.
All right.
But for real, my actual pick here, something that I never fucking thought. I never thought I would pick for this. Valentine's Day for baby Zeke.
Dude, I agree. That was also my choice.
it's just like because like they have this romance with like two of the characters and they're young and they kind of were like, you know what, actually this, we're dealing with our feelings, we don't know what we're doing here, but they're like kind of mature about it in the end. Was like, oh, this probably isn't going to work out, I still like you, but it might not be the best thing right now. And then also the witch that comes in later is sort of like, I'm just kind of upset about all my emotions here. It's hard for me to get it out. And like, it's dealt with like kind of a wholesome way. They don't just immediately murder the witch. It's weirdly mature.
And
for
the main
Minecraft novel.
Yeah. And the main character ends up being like, actually, I'm happy by myself and it's okay to be alone. And it was just some of the most wonderful, mature, like you said, mature handling of relationship difficulties and romance. Yeah. So hats off to this children's Minecraft book.
There's no world where I would like recommend Minecraft novels to children for reading.
No.
Except that this one maybe.
Yeah. This one maybe. Oh.
Okay.
Just
Paris.
Wonderful.
It is time for the official designation.
As the sun sets outside yonder window, it is time.
The worst book from episode 101 to 199.
Yes. Thank you, person who suggested that on Instagram. I'm sorry. I forgot to write your handle down. Thank you. I don't know what we're going to say because we are not sure. I'm not sure.
We don't have... I honestly, Paris, I know we said we weren't going to do like the multi-winner Oscar thing, but I still think that whenever someone asks me, when I say like, oh, I do a terrible book podcast, and they're like, what's the worst thing you've ever read? There's two things that come to mind. And the first one was the one I think that won the last worst book award. It was in that first area. And the second one that I have trouble even explaining to people when I'm trying to talk about what that book is.
Yeah.
It's Splattering Yet Endearing by Philip Yang. I'm sorry. Like, I know we did a bunch of other awards and we said we don't want to award it a bunch because, like, this one is a separate thing entirely where we just have to designate the one that is the worst, that I would never recommend anyone cast their gaze upon ever, even for...
Chris, I agree, but in an effort to spread the awards fairly.
Okay.
I'm going to counter with a book that is oddly similar in content, but different in execution, also terrible.
Okay.
Reaper's Creek by Onision.
Oh, man.
Strangely similar.
Oh,
also
man.
Horrible.
I can't believe I didn't consider that one.
Oh.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
We have two heavy hitters here, Paris.
Yeah, that's tough. Ooh.
Reaper's Creek is...
It was a long time ago. This was the early 2021.
That's true. There's definitely not much, but there's a little bit more coherence to it than Splattering Yet Endearing, I would say.
Little bit.
There's
like by a hair.
There's a mild amount of coherence involved there. And I guess, okay, to me, I think you might have changed my mind a little bit here, Paris, specifically for the reason that I feel like Philip Yang tried to erase Splattering Yet Endearing. Like, he realized, I think.
True.
That this isn't a good look and he maybe should try again or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or he realized like, I actually have to like do some internal checking in with why I think this might be a good story.
Therapy. Yeah.
Perhaps. Maybe we can't be sure about why he ultimately ruined it. Maybe it was just harassment. Don't harass Philip Yang, please.
Yeah. Please don't harass any of these people, authors we've talked about or anything like that.
But Onision or whatever his name was. I don't know if he's still around. I'm not following any internet drama about him or not, but he definitely didn't scrub this. And he definitely thinks that this is like a good work. So, I mean, just for the sheer insanity of what's in those pages that is like still slightly coherent, you can see sort of like the mind that created it. I might change my vote.
And I think it's especially bad because along the lines of what you're saying that, he didn't attempt to destroy it. Wasn't it also not his first work? Didn't he have like other
Correct.
things? Yeah.
Correct. It was also like a second shot, maybe a third shot. Which is worse. That's definitely worse.
It is worse, right? Because that means you've learned nothing and you refuse to change or try differently.
Yes. And Philip Yang still has hope.
Yeah, I hope Philip Yang's out there doing something else. Poor guy probably had to change his name because he published under his real name. Oof. Woof. As far as
Paris, I think you changed my mind. I think the worst book. I think it's Reaper's Creek. All right. Congratulations. Reaper's Creek by Onision.
Worst
You
book
have
from books 101 to 199.
An amazing feat, truly. Like, honestly, worthy of applause. I will never forget God sitting in his barren wasteland because he couldn't fucking conjure up a house for himself. And, like, you can't even get... even out here.
There was something about pants being unzipped in that book that
it was like pants falling off mid-flight because they could fly and like, whoops, my pants fell off. Oh no, like, now you can see everything.
Pants kept falling off or being unzipped, and it had some of the same weird misogynist overtone. Yeah, what a thing to have created.
All right, Paris.
All right.
We've done it. It's been another 100 episodes. That's not even the end of this season. You guys are still going to get like, I don't know, 7 more episodes after this. Like
I don't know.
Something like that.
See. This technically comes out next Tuesday, and then
next Tuesday. So I'm going to try to throw a real quick edit job on this, probably around Thursday or Friday to turn this around. But thank you for joining us. We have recorded everything else for the rest of the year. There's still I'm going to be doing some editing in the background, but those will be put up so that we can go on break for a little bit, and then we will be proceeding in the next year with a possible new format here that we tested out on this stream. Let us know what you think. And Paris, do you have anything else to say before we're done here?
We should probably thank our patrons and all the lovely people that showed up in the chat. I know Joyous is here, ExcavatingLizard,
true.
Greg,
that
and then we have all of our other wonderful patrons and Ko-fi donors or coffee. I know it's coffee, but I don't know. I'm just always going to say Ko-fi.
Sounds better. Okay,
it's
everyone.
KO-FI. So yeah, maybe we should just thank
you.
Folks.
To our bad bookworms, Anya, Ben, Donnie, Emily, Jacob, Jared, Scott, and Will. Our exacting editors, Kieran, David, D, Emmy, Funny Robot with Antennas, Greg again, Harry 7, Martin, Root Beer Cutie, and the Ugly One. Our loathsome librarians, Veronica, Arant, Beast with the Least, Yanka, Luchek of the Void, the Talk-Waiting Unicorn of the Hot Springs, Patricia, Robin, and Austin, our pesky publisher, Miles May, and our Ko-fi donors, like our ever-faithful Kiwi thing, Excavating Lizard, who showed up in the chat today. Thank you, Excavating Lizard. Martin F., Brenna, and Matthew, also Joyous, who is in the chat today. Thank you for showing up. If you want to relieve us of some terrible books, they're for sale up over on our Ko-fi page. Will anyone accept the challenge to become an archivist next year, I suppose?
Our arch archivist, get on it, donate, make us read something huge and terrible. But
only one of us, maybe.
Yeah, regular patrons also, please get your suggestions in for next year as we're prepping the schedule over the next couple months while we're off. Get those recs in.
All right. Well, Paris, it's time to sign off. It's been another 100 episodes. I got to be honest with you. We will see if we have the stamina for another 100.
Ooh, yeah.
But no matter what, Paris, no matter what, it has been a privilege to be able to do this with, like, to have a friend that will stick this out with me for so long. Honestly, sometimes this podcast can get stressful. Sometimes we get a little bit agitated at each other in some ways, but in the end, I would not share this with anyone else. So thank you for going on this now 200 book long journey with me.
Oh.
Sincerely, Paris, books. I love you. Thank you for doing this.
Love you too, Chris. Yeah, I mean, I also would not inflict this pain on anyone else, because I know that we've worked up the fortitude. Like we've been, drinking that water with arsenic in it, and now arsenic can't kill us. And the arsenic I'm talking about is terrible writing. But yeah, it's been, I don't know. It started off and remains, just sort of conversation between two friends about books we're reading. We never set out to, become anything or do anything with this. And it's always so great when I discover that people listen to it routinely and actually care about the show and enjoy it and, have fun listening to us talk. And I don't know. So it's great to hear from people every now and then. You see people's comments or, emails we get or, the offhand direct message or whatever. I don't know. It's just nice. And, seeing people show up in the Twitch chat today, it's just, I don't know. I'm glad that this thing that is full of, just inherently has a lot of negative energy still provides some positivity and delight for some people out there. And, because we try to have fun with it as much as we may get upset or talk about things that are dark. Ultimately, we try to have a good time with it. And it's just great to see that it works for some other people too. Like, we're not the only ones having a good time here and that listeners also enjoy it. So, yeah, I don't know. And
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I think I've learned a fair amount about myself and the type of writing I like and maybe want to make in the future because of all the bad writing we've read and all the discussions we've had and the feedback from listeners and stuff. So it's been great on a personal level. It's been great on a friend level. And I'm glad that it's also been kind of great on a podcast level, out in the world. So I don't know. I'm still looking forward to another year of Terrible Books. It's going to be our 10th year. 10 years,
yes.
A decade of our lives in service of Terriblo.
And Paris, we're doing this new format possibly, and even though listeners won't hear our first book that we're probably going to do in this new format for a handful of months after this, I do think we should drop the teaser for the first book that is going to be read, I believe.
Oh, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, give everybody a little
10.
A little treat. A little treat. What's the little treat?
Paris, listeners, we've got the end of the year books to comb through until the end of December, but in January, we will be back with Maradoni and the Guardians of the Portals by Sophia Nova.
Oh, I forgot.
She did it again. We noticed. Don't worry, we noticed. So, we'll be back. We'll be back.
I love how the chat was dead, and then you said Maradonia, and the chat was like, Maradonia! Yeah.
No one said shit for an hour. Yes, indeed. Maradonia is coming back at you, but you got to wait till 2025. I'm saving it for then, too. I read the first 15 pages, and it's Maradonia, baby. We're coming back.
Yeah, it was very late one night. I was working in the book lab late one night when I spied a Reddit. And the Maradonia Reddit had reactivated with, suddenly there was a new post. And it was like, Maradonia's back.
A disturbance.
And I was like, what the fuck? It was, disturbance in the bad book force. And, it's like 1:30 in the morning. And I'm like, what? And I just take a screenshot and send it to Chris. And somehow Chris is also awake. And he's like, I bought it immediately. So I had no say. It was just a decision that happened to us. This book happened to us.
I had to start reading it. I had to see. Because Maya and Joey were supposed to be fucking dead, Paris.
That's right. They did fucking die.
They're not dead. Wow. And we'll get to why that is in January. So stay tuned.
Chris, before you said that, I actually had forgotten that this was our agreement. So I was as surprised as listeners. I had forgotten in all my busyness this last weekend. And, as you see, I showed up to the show with my wet hair and pigtail braids because I had no time to prepare for this at all. So,
all right, everyone. That's been episode 200. That was Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yaros. That was the Terrible Book Club Terriblo
A
Awards.
Round of applause for Chris for reading all of Fourth Wing and I didn't have to, and I am happy about that. Thank you.
You're experiencing the pleasures that our listeners experience. So.
Truly a gift. Truly a gift.
All right, Paris, I can't wait to see what you read for me next year.
I can wait.
See. Yeah, we'll see, everyone. I mean, this is going out in the next episode in a couple of weeks, but after that, there will be a series of episodes until the end of the year. and then we'll see you in 2025.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again, everyone. Hope
Bye,
you enjoyed
everybody.
this. Seeing us once every 4 years, our faces.
Yes. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you for listening to another episode of Terrible Book Club. Terrible Book Club is an independent podcast produced by your hosts, Paris and Chris. Sound design and audio editing by Chris, with sound effects and music by Epidemic Sound and sometimes also Chris. Our theme song is Kiss by Yearn, which is, you guessed it, actually also Chris. You can find more of his soothing synthy sounds on Bandcamp at yearn.bandcamp.com. Do you want us to review a book of your choice on the show? Do you want access to some extra audiovisual weirdness? If so, become a patron at patreon.com/terriblebookclub. If you'd like to send us a one-time tip instead, you can do that at ko-fi.com/terriblebookclub. You can also support TBC for free by sharing the show on social media, following our accounts on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or Goodreads, telling your friends about your favorite episode, or by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or anywhere else on the internet. To send us book recommendations or your adorable pet photos, send an email to terriblebookclub@gmail.com.